Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Xoxo, this is Xoxo Tarot, and in today's pick a card reading, we are going to be looking at messages from your future self. I am really excited to do this reading today, but I wanted to start by quickly apologizing if it's echoey in here. And also for the inconsistent uploads recently. I just moved, so the third dimension has just been absolutely kicking my butt. And yeah, the good news is that, you know, it should be getting more normal now, but your girl, let's just say the physical world is not my forte, so it's been rough. I'm excited to get back into it, and hopefully there are not too many issues. I can definitely tell there's a bit of an echo, so I hope that I can get that fixed. Thank you for your patience in the meantime, and thank you for your patience in general. You guys are awesome, and thank you for all the love and support you've been sending me while I've been MIA and chaotic. You guys are the best, and I love you so much. With that being said, though, let's go ahead and get into what we're actually looking at today. So we're going to start by looking at where your future self is at, and those are actually the cards that are underneath each image that you can choose from. And how far into the future this is not going to be said here, because number one, it could be very different for all of you, and number two, I believe that time is fluid, and because of that, when you're watching this video, maybe this future is a year out, and then you shift your energy, do things differently, or something changes and it's 6 months from now instead. Like, I believe that things can shift, and so we're just looking at a guaranteed place that your future self is at, where they are coming in to check in and say, hey, here's where we're at. And so after we look at that, unless the future that I'm describing, you're like, that's not my future, I don't want that to be my future, gross, disgusting, just pick a different group, because you are a creator being and your future is not set in stone. But anyway, once we look at that and you're like, wow, I like where my future self is at, this sounds like where I'm moving or whatever, we're going to move into the tarot deck that I choose for your group, and we're going to look at why is your future self showing you this point in time? What's the significance of it? Is there something they're wanting to show you? I'm excited to see what comes through there. But after that, we're going to look at how you can align with this future if you're not already, and get there more quickly. So if what I describe in this question are things you're already doing, then you can rest assured that there's really not much that you can change here, and to trust that you're on the fast track to getting to this future point as quickly as possible. And then we are going to get reassurance and guidance from your future self about fears that you may have in the present. I think that it is especially potent right now if you are watching as I upload, but let's be real. The fears never be stopping. So I'm hoping that your future self can come through with some just clarity or understanding that can bring you a little bit more peace in the present and let go of just unnecessary worry. And then we are going to get some acknowledgement or encouragement from your future self, just talking about where you're at in your present moment, and just recognizing, like, you know, whatever you're dealing with or whatever you're going through or how hard you've been working, like just something your future self wants you to know about this present point in time, where they're just really seeing you and appreciating you and thanking you for getting yourself to that point in the future. And then we're just going to finish off with guidance for moving forward. So I'm really excited to do this reading today. I really hope you guys enjoy it as well. We have 4 different groups for you to choose from today, and I want you guys to choose based on the image you're most drawn to or the vibes of the cards. So if you are having a hard time choosing, it's possible that you could have more than one reading here, which would be absolutely fine. But if you feel more drawn to a group, but you want to pick but visually you want to pick another one because it has some sort of significance, I would start with the group that you feel more drawn to first. That might be more beneficial, because I find sometimes when I pick something based on what I consider a sign or what I consciously have a connection to, sometimes it can give me the wrong message, and then I have to go back to the one that I felt in the first place. But trust your gut and trust yourself, and remember, you are a creator being. So if the future that you get, you're like, ew, no, not for me, pick another group. the future is not set in stone. So we have 4 different groups for you to choose from today. Starting with group number 1, we have this lovely image of a double-sided queen holding a rose. Reminds me of 2 of my best buddies that are both red-headed queens. And of course the oracle cards underneath indicating where your future self is at. And then for group number 2, we have this hot air balloon up in the night sky. And if any of you watched the Amanda show back in the day, this image reminds me of the sketch that they had. I think it was like called like Moody's Point or something. Her mom was like stuck in a hot air balloon. That instilled a fear in me of being stuck in a hot air balloon forever. I don't know if anyone else remembers that. But that's group number 2. And then for group number 3, we have this image of a girl climbing a ladder. Another red-headed baddie up in the clouds. And finally, for group number 4, we have this little scorpion out here in the night, just vibing, chilling, doing a little bit of illin'. And of course, for each of those, the oracle cards underneath. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to decide which pile you feel most drawn to. It is absolutely okay to be drawn to more than one. Like I said, it could be that there are potential outcomes for the future, or your future self could be highlighting different points. So trust yourself, trust your gut. You really can't go wrong here. But we're gonna go ahead now and do our little Make-A-Wish portion. Intro squad, I want to hear, what is a goal for your future that you are already planning, or what is something that you are leaving behind in order to have a better future? One of those. What are you letting go of, or what are you trying to grow? I would love to hear. And Fate chose the candle today because it's in a box I unpacked. But I think it's actually perfect. You know, we're going to be using the Magician candle, which is all about manifestation, alchemy, and using not only the material world, but also your spiritual power to create what you want in this world. So I think it's actually perfect. But with that being said, if you're unaware, all of my candles, my tarot candles, come with a mini tarot card inside. So we are going to be using that as for your mini reading today, and also make a wish. But if you are interested in these candles or any other candles, you can use code ASO10 for 10% off on Angelic Magic 888 site. So our mini message today, woo, okay, I gotta cover that up. We have the Devil card. So I'm gonna interpret this after I light it. We're gonna have to use a grill lighter because I can't find my regular lighters. But if you just wanna go ahead and focus your energy on the candle, maybe set an intention that the future you're dreaming of, or a future that you can't conceive of, but that would make your heart happy, is in this candle. You can even pause it and just really let the wishes flow in, but I'm gonna do the same. May yours, mine, and all of our wishes come true. And can we just like admire the glitter? Ugh, makes my heart so happy. So we have the Devil card here. I'm gonna cover it up because even though the nudie bits are really small, I'm not taking any chances. So, number 1, I heard the message of breaking free. I definitely feel like if you were hesitant to come to this reading because you're like, I don't want to hear about the future, I'm literally so stressed out about the present. Number 1, mood, I see you. That's so valid. And number 2, it's okay to feel that way, but also there may be tangible things that you could do to make the future and the present less overwhelming. It seems like you could be attached to certain things, like this could be social media or certain like behaviors, maladaptive coping mechanisms that you know are not good for you, that could be just making this time even more stressful. But I feel like there's kind of a nuanced message in this that when you do give into those things, there's no reason to shame yourself or beat yourself up. That's just packing on more devil energy onto yourself. I think that this is an encouragement for you to look at, where are you feeling trapped and chained to life right now? Where are you feeling stuck? Where are you feeling held back? Where are you feeling like depleted or defeated? Those are the areas that the universe is calling to your attention to be aware of, because those are the areas where you're ready to break free. And I'm, of course, hearing the classic High School Musical song about breaking free. I know, my music taste is impeccable. I mean, I don't listen to that on a regular basis. It's just like in my head. I don't even listen to that at all. I didn't even like High School Musical, but anyway, I always thought it was lame. I was not like other girls growing up. Anyway, I definitely think, though, there's also a message here about paying attention to intensity when it comes to like what you allow yourself to do. Like, for example, I'm thinking of like the idea of working hard, playing hard. You know, if you're all work and no play, you maybe need to ask yourself why that is. And if you are all play and no work, maybe you need to ask yourself why you're running from buckling down, because it seems like there's an imbalance somewhere in your life and it's contributing to a feeling of being trapped. And I feel like this is a sign from the universe to say that you can do it. You can break free. It might be challenging, it might be hard, and it may not happen immediately, but you've got this and you can do it. I also feel here that one of the messages coming through for you is a reminder that while our mindset isn't everything, it is incredibly important to how we face challenges. Like, what I will say for myself is that, you know, being a spiritual person doesn't stop me from like experiencing depression and still experiencing mental health struggles. But the biggest difference from like the growth that I've experienced is that I have a whole lot more hope when I'm stuck in one of those cycles and when I'm stuck in a place that I don't want to be mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And there's also this kind of knowing of like, well, I have more tools to deal with it, number one. And number two, I have this kind of determination of, I don't know when this will end. I don't know necessarily if I can control this, but I know this isn't my fault and I'm going to be kind to myself. I know I'm not going to beat myself up. And I think that there's this kind of reminder here that the worst thing that you can do when you're dealing with these imbalances is shame yourself, blame yourself, neglect yourself, or beat yourself up and tell yourself that it's your fault. Like, it's not your fault for struggling. Maybe sometimes it is. I think there are some things that are within our control that we can change, but it's also important to give yourself grace in that and recognize that even though we may be the direct problem for some of the suffering in our life, that doesn't mean that the beautiful thing about that is that we can also be the solution. And I think it's important to recognize how when you're trying to break free, you can almost beat yourself up, put yourself down, or bully yourself into staying stuck because you're afraid you can't do it or you feel ashamed of what's happened. I feel like there's this need for you to recognize that in every moment, like, you are new you. And as hard as it may be to let go of that, you can do it. And I think that if there's anything you can do right in this moment, just ask yourself, like, what things do you need to hear from yourself? Like, what would make you feel encouraged? What would make you just feel like you can face it? Because I feel like that is the first step, just believing that you can do it. Like, and what I will say for me is that I didn't really get a handle on like my mental health struggles until, number one, I was able to recognize them, which took years, and number two, to decide that I did not want to be that way anymore, and I was willing to do whatever it takes to make my situation and my mental experience better. Now that doesn't mean that I don't still experience that. I think it's very common for anyone who struggles in any sort of way to fall back into old patterns or revisit places that are shitty, that we don't want to be, but that doesn't mean that we can't keep going, that we can't get out of it again. And I think that there's really just this message of don't give up. Whatever you feel trapped to, whatever you feel tied to, you can and will break free from it. It may not be tomorrow, but at the very least, you deserve to be as gentle with yourself as you can and be as encouraging with yourself as you can, and be open to encouragement from others, because not only will that just release the burden of extra you know, shame or blame or guilt that you place on yourself, but also that can be, you know, the very driving force that helps us keep moving forward even when we want to just give up and run in the opposite direction. And let me be clear, it's okay to give up for the night, to just go to bed, or to just, you know, let go for a period of time. But don't ever stop forever. Even if you gotta sit for months on end, just know that there's always a way out, and that you always deserve to believe, like you deserve to believe in yourself. Never give up on yourself. I believe in you, and I'll never give up on you. And then also there's a message here about if there is someone in your life that you know is no good for you in one way or another, maybe pay attention to how you can set boundaries there, or if you're making certain excuses that are leading to a lot of stress and frustration in your life, I think you're being encouraged to look at how you may be not stepping into your power in that situation. It sounds like there could be, for some of you, someone that you need to set boundaries with, or just be more protective of your time and energy, and shit like that. I feel like this is pretty long and we gotta get into the reading. So if you got any messages from the Devil card that I didn't say, feel free to write those down, but just know that it's okay to break free. And if you have not been allowing yourself to have any fun, or the devil isn't all bad, you know, sometimes we need to have a little fun, or we need a little bit of intensity in life, and that's okay too. So ask yourself, maybe if the world has gone gray, maybe you just need to give yourself permission to have a little bit more fun, and give yourself permission to be a human being and not a human doing. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead now and move into your reading. Thank you guys for being here and for letting me read for you. I am really excited to look at these messages today. And yeah, once you've picked your pile or piles, I will see you in your reading. Hi there, pile one. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the first card with the mirrored queens on it, this is going to be your reading on messages from your future self. So we're going to start by looking at where your future self is at. So we're going to turn over this card later. This is going to be guidance from your future self that you chose. But we have standstill, deliberate creation. I love how similar the girly on the cards look. We have the ship has sailed, and communication. The frequency of communication supports our ability to exchange information in many forms. It reminds us to run every piece of information, both incoming and outgoing, through our heart, the center of truth, to stay in the flow of source and balanced exchange. So let me make sure everything is in the frame. New setup, new space. Don't know what I'm doing. Okay, we're good. Okay. Depending on where you're at right now, this message could come as a huge relief, or it could come as a source of frustration or confirmation of maybe a truth that you haven't wanted to acknowledge. But the thing is that it's much worse in your head than it is in reality. And actually where you're at, where your future self is at, is in a really good spot. And I feel like for some of you, this future self is like in the very near future. And for others, I feel like for most of you, honestly, this is kind of the near future in general. But this is a powerful position to be in, because number one, your future self is highlighting where they're at is at a place of truth, and at a place of knowing what is worth your time and what isn't. The fact that we have deliberate creation here, this is a very, very powerful energy for you to be in. And I actually think that this standstill energy, you could be currently experiencing that, or if you're currently in a place of extreme chaos in your life, I think that this standstill will actually be a wonderful reprieve where you can kind of gather your bearings and be like, oh, okay, let's reflect. Let's take a moment and regroup. But if you are already in a standstill, I think this point is where your future self is getting out of it. So this standstill is either a relief to the chaos that is unfolding around you, or it's a standstill that you're currently in that you are wanting to exit, and your future self is at that point. And the cool thing that I'm seeing about this is that this future self could be your present self within a matter of hours or even days. Your future self knows their worth. And I think that that is a big part of what they want to highlight here, is that this standstill energy is allowing you to reflect and focus on what you actually want to create in life. But also, with the ship has sailed, there could be people or situations or opportunities that were never really meant to be yours, at least at this time, at least in that form, where maybe part of your struggle, if you are in a standstill, is the fact that maybe you feel like you wasted this opportunity, or what if you're doing something wrong by saying no? And if you are currently experiencing a lot of chaos in your life, you likely don't have the time or energy to experience those opportunities or to see people and situations clearly, and that might be causing you to avoid making a decision around them. And I think that's actually a good thing. It's almost like, for those of you that resonate with experiencing a lot of chaos, it's almost like a controlled chaos that's helping you from going down maybe a path that wouldn't make you happy, and that would just lead to more frustration or more confusion. The fact that we have communication here, your future self is in a place where you know what you want and what you won't put up with. And I also think that you're going to be very clear on, this is where I want to go. I'm not going to focus on the past anymore, especially in a way that makes me feel like I'm missing out, because you're not missing out. Anything that you don't, any opportunities you don't take, any situations that don't work out, anything that feels like too little too late, there's going to be deep acceptance there, and your future self has deep acceptance for it, where it's like, okay, this actually just wasn't meant to unfold. It wasn't meant to happen right now. And you might be seeing the results of that. Like, you might be seeing like, oh wow, I'm so glad I didn't, like, let's say for example, you got a job opportunity and you decided not to take it, or you were indecisive about it, and then you find out the company goes defunct, or maybe a friend gets the opportunity and they're like, this company is terrible and I'm quitting as soon as I can. Like, I feel like, or say for example, you know, maybe there is someone that you are wanting to reconcile things with or make things happen with, and they are not like, let's say right now they are not playing ball, they are not being reciprocal, and this point of your future self is seeing like, actually maybe they come forward and you realize, I don't want what they're offering, or what they're offering is not enough, or actually I don't even feel drawn to this situation anymore. Wherever your future self is at, it's in a place of deep acceptance where you're finding clarity around situations that you could have been really worried about or really attached to currently in the present, or even in the past, where you're now realizing, oh yeah, that was never meant to be mine, or oh yeah, this would have just slowed me down. I feel like you're going to be having awareness of rejection is divine protection, and understanding why that is. I definitely think there is a level of empowerment here where your self-talk, your future self-talk is a lot more empowering. And also your vision is very clear. And so that's going to allow you to manifest and create what you actually want out of life. You know, the trope in movies and stories and stuff about like making a wish to a magical figure, and it's like, be careful what you wish for, because you wish for something and then it's not actually that. It's like, you're not dealing with that be careful what you wish for energy, because you are so clear on what you want. There's also a level of clarity in others' communication towards you. Like, let's say you fell for manipulation or deception in the past. Your future self is seeing through this quite clearly and seeing like, okay, I've seen this before. Like, I've seen this pattern before, or this person has said this before and they don't follow through. But also you're being very clear about what you want. So for example, let's say you're going to job interviews. You are not hiding your strengths. You are not staying stuck in this energy. And even if it might be uncomfortable, you're not saying like, well, I don't want to hype myself up too much. Like, you're hyping yourself up the way that you should be. You're being confident about your gifts and your skills and just recognizing your worth. I definitely think your future self is in a place where life is slowing down enough to allow you to get clear on what your next steps are and let go of any past any focus you've had on the past and how it's made it harder for you to make moves in the present. I also feel like you're becoming a lot more unapologetic about what your truth is, and you're becoming much less attached to how people respond or react to your truth, and realizing like, oh, it actually just pays off for me to be honest with myself and honest with others, because then I know where I stand, they know where they stand, and we don't have to run in circles or play games or leave things in the air. I feel like you're realizing that there's a freedom in certainty and a freedom in truth that maybe you've avoided in the past out of fear of what the truth will bring, but what you're realizing is that it actually sets you free and doesn't keep you stuck. I think that this is a very powerful place to be, and I wouldn't be shocked if a lot of you were watch the mini message, because I do think for a lot of you, your future self is here to say like, don't compromise your vision, don't hide your truth, and be honest with yourself. Like if you are overwhelmed or unhappy with where you are, be honest with yourself about that, because that will be the first step in you deliberately creating what it is you actually want. And I want to see now what guidance your future self has for you. This deck is called Hey Girl. You don't have to be a girl for this deck to resonate, but I just wanted to give you that heads up. If you're like, I'm not a girl, that's okay. It's still for you. Hey you, chin up, queen, king, or gender neutral monarch. Your crown is slipping, not because you're weak, but because it's freaking heavy. And I think that this is actually very important. Your future self is coming through to say like, I think that you've been moving through a really dense period of time, and density is not always a bad thing. It can be extra stressful, especially when we live in a society that values like constant forward movement and productivity, but that's not how life truly works. And these periods of density are actually very powerful. Think of it like, you know, when you work out with resistance bands or ankle weights, you know, when you have that extra weight on you, it just makes your muscles stronger. And then when those weights fall off, like movement is so much easier, and it just like makes you more powerful. And so I feel like right now you're undergoing this powerful phase that your future self is highlighting, where they're at this place where you've been building this strength, and now that this future self is ready to make things happen, to speak things into existence. That's a powerful thing. You really want to be conscious of your words, because what you speak into the world, number 14, becomes what you deliberately create, number 15. So it's like, I speak this and then it happens. I think an excellent example of this in my life is I said to a friend, like, I really just want to be settled. I really just want to know what my next move is. And within 2 days, I had an offer accepted on the place that I moved to. So like, that is the type of forward momentum you're going to be experiencing. And I feel like one cool thing about where your future self is at is you're not firing on all cylinders, in the sense that like every area of your life is needing your attention, needing your focus. I feel like you're going to be focusing on certain areas of your life. Almost like the visual that I'm getting is in traffic, you know, there's some traffic that's stopped while other traffic is flowing. And it even kind of looks like that, like a 4-way stop here on this deliberate creation card, where things in you're really focused on your career life, so things are moving there, but maybe your social life, like there's less energy and emphasis there, and you're not having as much focus on like your home life or your routine, and then your career kind of slows down, and then you can really focus on, okay, how do I want to edit my routine to fit these changes I'm making. It's almost like you're being given the opportunity to make concrete and powerful change and create new things in your life, and allow what is presently existing in your life to slow down enough so that you're not completely overwhelmed by the changes that you're making. Your future self definitely wants you to know, like, everything is going to be okay. And the challenges that you're facing, while they might be hard, they just want you to know that it's gonna get easier. It's like right now, you are in a resistance band phase where you're building these psychic muscles, maybe literal muscles, mental and emotional muscles, to really be able to create what it is you actually want. If you are working on like no longer people pleasing, I feel like that is a powerful thing that's happening here. And I also think that if you've been settling for less than what you truly want, this future self is coming through to say, now we're not doing that anymore. I saw today a picture of Dochi from 5 years ago saying that she got fired from her job, and that she was like, and she was saying, I'm just gonna go and see if I can find internships around at music places. Like, I've got nothing left to lose at this point. And, you know, 5 years later, she just got a Grammy. So congrats to her. And like, and I feel like that's an excellent example of how you can just really make things happen for yourself and be more focused on what it is you really want, rather than circumventing the truth of what you actually want and playing it safe. I think one thing that your future self has realized is that what is safe is actually far more uncomfortable than just truly going in the direction of what it is you truly want. And also, it's not safe to hold on to things that don't serve you, that make you feel small, that don't make you feel good. And in fact, what you'll be finding is that the universe is really going to be supporting you in this process by like controlling the rhythm or the tempo of like different areas of your life, so that you can just focus on certain areas one by one and create more of what you want in the world. I really think that this is going to be a very powerful time for you. And I feel like one big thing your future self wants you to know is that everything is going to be okay, and you don't need to be afraid, because this is actually going to be a really awesome time for you. And I think this is going to be a time where you realize like, oh, I don't need to wait for the universe to give me permission. I can just make things happen. And sometimes, you know, we have to face certain experiences or deal with a lot of what we don't want to realize what it is we actually do want. And I think that's where you're headed. So we're going to go ahead and get into your tarot now. For you guys, I'm using the Cosmobeings Tarot deck. It's quite thick, but it's also very cute. Maybe you are thick and cute. And if so, good for you. But if you're joining me for the first time, or if you're enjoying this reading, thank you to everyone who takes the time to leave me a little like or a subscribe or a comment, or just lets the ads play, because all of that is super helpful. And not gonna lie, since I haven't missed a lot while I've been moving, definitely appreciate all the love and support. And thank you to everyone who, you know, just has come through with love and support. I'm really grateful for that. And I'm just really grateful for how awesome you guys are to each other and this beautiful little community we've made. So yeah, you guys are awesome, and thank you for being here. And no matter what, just thank you for being here. So we're going to go ahead and start by looking at why your future self is showing you this point in time. So why is pile one's future self showing them this glimpse into their future? Why is this the future that their future self is showing pile one, please? We have the Hermit. Okay, they are showing you this because, number one, if you are needing a lot of time to yourself, or being kind of, if you might be in a hermit mode, or you might be feeling really called to go into a hermit mode, I feel like they're showing you this because you may be looking in the world around you for answers. And I feel like the biggest and most profound answers you're going to get are going to come from your internal world. And maybe that's the one place you've been avoiding. But also, I feel like your future self is showing you this because I feel like they're trying to highlight the fact that I think you still don't have confidence in your ability to trust your own visions and know the best course of action for you. And I feel like they're really encouraging you to go within and trust yourself more, trust your visions more, and trust what you need more. I'm thinking like specifically of how our bodies communicate things to us all the time that we might ignore, we might not trust because we're trying to think logically. The body doesn't need rationality to communicate something. It just does. And oftentimes it's telling us what we need to see, what we need to hear. Like, you know, for example, if you are in a job where every single day you go into it and your chest tightens and you start getting a headache and you feel drained and you feel tired and you just feel like a shell of yourself, like that's your body communicating, hey, this environment is draining the shit out of us, and maybe this isn't where we're supposed to be. But I also think that if you have already been going within, if you have been, you know, cultivating visions and thinking about where you want to go, your future self is saying, don't stop doing that. That's helping you get to where we are now. And that is also helping you these visions you're seeing, these ideas you're cultivating, these dreams that you have, what's going on in your internal world is really important. Speak more truth to it, whether it's in a journal, whether it's sharing it with someone you love and trust, or just speaking it out into the universe and telling the universe, you know, what you're seeing and how that makes you feel and whether it makes you excited. Like, all of that stuff is bringing you closer to this future self point. I also think that if you have been around people a lot and you haven't had much time for yourself, I feel like your future self is really encouraging you to give yourself permission to kind of isolate for a bit, or just go and have more time to yourself in whatever way you can cultivate. I mean, you don't have to go in like full isolation, but just whatever you need in order to be able to hear yourself and listen to your inner world. I feel like your future self is really encouraging that, because this future self is, I think, very close to the present. And I think you will get there much faster by listening to your own internal guidance. I feel like external guidance might be just creating more confusion, or you might just be searching for someone to give you permission to trust yourself, which I guess in that case, hey, pile one, I'm giving you permission to trust yourself now and forever. You don't need permission ever again. You can do it. I also think, though, that they want you to know that if you're looking for someone to kind of give you the green light or show you the way, you better find a mirror, my dude, because that person is you. And they just want you to know that you have the wisdom and you have the ability to move through this time, and you'll get there sooner rather than later. And I think there's also something where your future self wants you to know that they're showing you this time because it's going to be imperative, once you reach this point, that you be very particular about what it is you want and what you don't want, and be very clear on what you won't accept and what is not fulfilling, because you may not know what those things are right now. And so maybe an opportunity for reflection would be those things, and would get you closer to what you can deliberately create. But I also think that your future self is wanting you to know that you might be feeling a little bit lonely, because it seems like other people can't really relate to your path right now, or relate to the steps that you're taking. And I feel like they want you to know that that's okay, and that in fact, you'll probably, as you reach this point, be grateful that other people couldn't relate, because how other people would process what you're currently going through and the conclusions they would come to, I think, are different than the conclusions you're supposed to come to and how you're meant to forge ahead. And so I feel like one thing your future self is saying is like, not being influenced by others at this time is actually going to really work in your favor, because you might mistakenly believe that the way that someone else handles their path is the way that you should, when in reality it's just about you. And I think they're really encouraging you to really focus on centering yourself and your own life the best that you can. Of course, that can be hard when we have a family or, you know, people dependent on us, but however you can forge more time and more clarity on yourself and your internal world, please take it, because that will bring you to your future closer. And also, there's a lot of wisdom to be had through this cycle, and I think that forward movement beyond this future moment is going to be a lot easier, and you'll be able to trust yourself a lot more than you presently do, and I feel like it will just be really liberating for you. So now I want to see how you can align with this future and the present and get there as quickly as possible if you're not already. If everything that I'm saying you're already doing, then trust that you're already doing everything in your power, and you'll get there as quickly as time will allow. Oh, well, would you look at that? So how you can get there, I think by embracing this deliberate creation energy. I actually want to read you what it says in the book. This is the Mandala Healing Oracle. Desired improvements fly out from you as rockets of energy into the quantum field of all possibilities. Here they are organized into symbiotic components needed to create your desires, and then the law of attraction carries it to you as a specific frequency. Feel centered and worthy, tune in, and receive your desires. And I feel like the journal prompt is especially important. Write or draw a list of 7 things you want to experience. Think about how you will feel when they arrive. See if you can connect that feeling to anywhere in your life now, and write that next to your desires. As your desires turn up in your life, cross them off and replace them with new desires to keep your list of 7 going, which I think is really cool. And it also says place, well, you don't have a deliberate creation card in front of you. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, focus on the center of the mandala. This is your sacred space of creation. You are the king or queen of your inner realm, which your future self confirmed. The inner creates the outer. Your physical reality is not something imposed upon you, but something you've pulled toward you through the vibes you emit. If you're experiencing something you don't like, okay, I half agree with this and I half don't. I feel like, so take this or leave this. You do not have to take this as your truth if you don't want to. That's the cool thing about deliberate creation, is you can deliberately create from your belief systems, not the ones imposed upon you, even by a book. Created a clarifying situation to help you focus on what you do like. Allow experiences to flow to you like the image depicts, so that you can evaluate and fine-tune your dreams and desires. The dragons represent untamed desires, where the sun illuminates manifestations. Together they will deliver what you thought to be impossible. Sit back and relax. All you dream and desire is on its way. Right now, find something that you love in your life and focus on that. Close your eyes and stay in the space for at least 3 minutes. When you feel ready, breathe "I am a deliberate creator" into your body and open your eyes. So all of that could be good guidance, but the Magician card here, how you can align with it is just really focusing on the future that you want. And if me talking about your present self really sounded like what you were currently going through, then I think that your future and your present are very closely intertwined. And you're really being encouraged to stand in your power and focus on what you want to create. And so, for example, if something you're wanting to create is movement, maybe start by having a little dance party around your space, your room. You know, just get your body moving and start cultivating that movement. That might be a first step. Or if you're wanting to create more calm or more alone time, start by maybe canceling those plans you only said yes to out of guilt. Or if someone is asking you to do something, maybe say, "No, I can't, sorry, I'm unavailable." Just start by looking at what in your present is out of alignment with what your current needs are, and ask yourself what you can do to shift those, to make it better. But also, as the Magician states, like, you have the power to create what you want, and to get really focused on what you want to create and get really focused on yourself. Like, this is really about you, and not looking for the world around you to give you permission or confirm to you what you need or that you're in the right path. The right path for you is the one that feels right to you and feels good to you. So you don't really need to overthink it. You just need to get focused on what it is you're really wanting, and don't beat around the bush or speak half truths, or just be like fully honest about what you want, you know, instead of playing it safe or playing it small. Be honest about what you really want and don't settle for something less. Okay, let's get some reassurance or guidance about present fears that you have in the present from your future self. So pile one's future self, what reassurance and guidance do you have about pile one's present fears? What do they need to know? We have the Ace of Cups. So I feel like a lot of your fears are not even realistic. They're not even things that will continue to plague you. But also with this Ace of Cups, I feel like there's an encouragement here to get into your heart more and get into your emotional body more, because it's quite possible that you could be in your head a lot, and your mind could be conjuring up a lot of fears, which is understandable. Minds do that. And that could be creating a lot of emotional distress that makes it harder to move forward. I feel like your future self is wanting you to know that the steps that you're making are going to create a lot of emotional fulfillment. And I think part of you is afraid that, like, what if I take these steps and it just leads to more anger or heartbreak or frustration or setbacks or uncertainty? And I feel like your future self is saying you've already faced those things. Number one, you know how to face those things. And number two, wouldn't you rather follow yourself and follow your heart first and see what comes of that? Because I feel like a lot of the frustration and anger and heartbreak and like chaos that you have been experiencing has been coming from the fact that you haven't really been in tune with yourself, that you've been saying yes to things that you didn't really want to, that you've been settling for behavior and circumstances and situations that really don't work for you. and have brought you a lot of frustration. And I think that your future self is wanting you to know there's a lot of emotional joy and a lot of love and happiness in your future. Like, and love is so much more than romantic love. But I feel like if some of you specifically have needed to hear that walking away from a specific situation or person that, you know, just doesn't seem to be coming through, or at the very least, if not like walking away from them, just walking away from like a goal, I feel like saying no to what isn't for you, or setting boundaries with what isn't for you, is allowing you to be more open and receptive to love in your life. So if you've been trying to manifest more friendships, or manifest a more fulfilling career, or a romantic relationship, or a family, I feel like this deliberate creation energy and the energy you're stepping into is allowing that to happen. And I feel like one thing your future self wants you to know is that you don't need to overthink about these things. Like, the feeling that you will have when you experience them, and the feelings that you can cultivate now as you picture yourself experiencing them, will help you recognize when those things are actually here, and realize you never had anything to fear anyway. I think for some of you, you might be so used to things not going your way, or things failing, or things just not being as satisfying as you thought, that everything is going to be disappointing. And I think that your future self is really encouraging you to let go of that, and let go of those past disappointments, and recognize, like, if anyone deserves to be fulfilled and excited and satisfied and happy, it's you. And you have plenty of reference of what won't do that. So you can continue to say no to that in the future, and continue to be open to the unknown, because the unknown is what's bringing you fulfillment and joy, and there's plenty of opportunities for that. And I feel like another thing that your future self wants you to know is that there is no one path that is going to get you there. You can't make a wrong mistake. I like to think of it this way, like, let's say a deliberate goal is a destination on a GPS. There are likely multiple different routes that you could take to get there. You know, and some of those routes might be faster, some of them might be slower. You might hit traffic in some, and maybe the shortcut ends up, you get a flat tire there. No matter what though, you're headed where you need to go. And so whether you choose to go left or right, you're gonna end up where you need to be. There are an unlimited amount of routes to the creation, like the life, the things that you're trying to cultivate, the life that you desire, the future that you want to have. And focus less on how to get there, and instead focus on how can I support myself as I move there. There's no need to overthink things, but definitely pay attention to how you feel, how certain habits make you feel about certain thought patterns, because they could be making it harder for you to openly embrace all the beautiful, wonderful things that life has for you. And also, I think that your future self wants you to just trust yourself more, and recognize that this time for you is about realizing that you do have the power to create more joy in your life. And a lot of that isn't fantastical thinking. A lot of it is just simply being clear on what you want and what you don't want, what you will put up with and what you won't, what is worth fighting for and what is not worth your time and energy, because that's just helping you center yourself in your truth and bring towards you and show the world what it is you really want. So there really is not much to fear here. I think you're gonna be afraid of how powerful you are and how much you love the life you start to cultivate. I feel like your future self really just wants you to be excited and to not let the fear of things being good stop you from making that happen. So now I want to see some acknowledgement or encouragement from your future self. Like, what does your future self want to acknowledge about the present you? Like, what do they want to commend you on, encourage you about? Future self of pile one, how are you seeing pile one's present self, and what can you say about that present self? So we have the Hanged Man. So they are really coming through to say, like, I know you feel stuck, or I know it's time for you to feel, I know you're ready for things to slow down. And I feel like they're wanting you to know, like, I feel like they're wanting to acknowledge how challenging it is to truly surrender. And they really want to commend you on being open to doing that and not giving up. And truthfully, maybe you've been really discouraged recently, and I feel like your future self is acknowledging that, and I feel like they're coming through to say that that's actually a gift, because it's letting go of resistance to what isn't for you and resistance to what was outside of your control in the first place, and allowing you to look at things from a different perspective that's not only more beneficial to the person you're becoming, but just helps you look at life through a lighter lens than maybe you were before. I think that you have this paradoxical thing going on where when things go bad, it's your fault. But if good things are going to happen in your life, the universe, you have to be deserving of them in order to receive them from the universe. And I feel like your future self is really wanting you to kind of flip that, or just like look at that realistically and be like, sometimes there are frustrating or difficult things that are outside of our control, but also you deserve to have good things and happy experiences and loving connections and like a positive life now, and you deserve to affirm that to yourself. I feel like they want to acknowledge like just how, like, it seems like you've almost been working against yourself for a while, and they want you to know that you don't need to beat yourself up for that, and it's okay to be frustrated and tired and just take a little break. I feel like they're acknowledging just the fact that you're going through a powerful shift right now, and they are on the other side of it in a way where you're ready to start moving forward, but in a clear and empowering way. And I feel like they want you to know that they totally validate and acknowledge any frustrations or struggles that you may be dealing with when it comes to your present, but they want you to know that they're not your fault and you're doing a great job of navigating them. And if they would have any advice, it would be to just give yourself more permission to let go of blame or shame or guilt or feeling like this is your fault. You're really being given encouragement to let go of the wheel right now and just let life happen. And ask yourself where maybe you can just be a better advocate for yourself, because like I think they're acknowledging that that's a really hard thing for you to do, but you're powerful enough to do it. And in fact, the more you do it, the more you'll realize how good it feels and the easier it will be to make it happen. You're in a very pivotal place right now where you are going from disempowerment to empowerment, and that's completely shifting your perspective. And they just want you to know that you are so powerful and so capable, and you're already doing such a great job, and you're exactly where you need to be, and you don't need to stress yourself out or run in circles. If you just need to chill and flow with life, do that. If you just need time to take a break from the world, do that. They really just want you to know whatever you need is valid, and if your body, your mind, your spirit is communicating to you that you need this, there's a reason for it. Just because the conscious mind is saying, well, no, you can't because you promised to go do this thing, or you did, she can, or he, or whatever. I don't know. Is your internal monologue gendered? I don't know. Whatever it is, you tell your internal monologue that it can calm down. It's not the boss of you. You are the boss of it, and you can always say no to it or disagree with it or do something differently. And I feel like your future self is just wanting you to know that you're doing amazing and it's okay. And a lot of this stuff is going to happen naturally. And I feel like another thing your future self wants you to know is that your present and your future are a lot more intertwined and a lot closer than you think. And you're exactly where you need to be. Everything is going to be okay. So let's go ahead and finish off with some final guidance for you as you move forward. So to start, we have gratitude. I am thankful for this life and the opportunities that it presents. So I think one thing that could be powerful is to just find gratitude for how far you've come, and just gratitude for yourself and how you've moved yourself through challenges already. But also, I feel like one thing your future self is saying is that right now you may have certain struggles or challenges that you're still processing from your past, or that you're dealing with in your present, that you really do not understand why they're happening. And I feel like your future self is saying you will have clarity on these things in the future, and actually be grateful that they happen, because they're going to lead you to, because you're going to have understanding and awareness of why these things could not have brought you the joy that does exist in your future. But we also have push through any insecurity, and I think that this is very powerful. I believe this is no, I think it's the third eye. The third eye. I don't know. You're really being encouraged to not let insecurity hold you back. and to really trust yourself. Part of gaining security in yourself is to feel the fear, feel the doubt, feel the uncertainty, and do it anyway. Even if it takes you a long time, even if it takes you time to work up the courage, there's no need to run away from your fears. There's no need to run away or feel like you're not good enough. You are good enough, and you can have what you want. You can have more than what you want, actually. And I think that right now you may be on the threshold of like between fear and love. And part of loving yourself is not allowing your insecurities or not allowing your feelings of unworthiness to stop you from moving forward. Like, everybody has experiences of imposter syndrome. Everybody has feelings of insecurity, like some more than others, but it's just a natural, normal human thing. And the more you can see it for what it is, but not let it stop you, the easier it will be for it to not take up so much space in your mind and be such an inhibitor to the deliberate creation you're stepping into. But we have self-love. It's time to fall in love with yourself. You come first. Your future self is definitely saying like, hey babe, you're incredible, and I'm gonna need you to stop settling for less and looking for other people to reflect your value and show you where you need to go, because you are not here to be a servant to everyone else's whims and fancies. You are here to be, you know, a creator being and live your own divinity, whatever that looks like. And, you know, you don't have to have a clear vision of that. You just have to trust yourself and follow your truth and follow what feels right for you. And I think one of the things that's going to help you fall in love with yourself is realize, oh, wow, I really did know what I needed all along. And wow, when I trust myself, life gets so much easier. Like, I feel like it's a difference between moving in molasses and there being none there. When life seems unnecessarily hard, I feel like it's usually because we're not living life in alignment in a way that works for us. And sometimes that can just be as simple as acknowledging, what am I putting up with that's not working? How am I not valuing myself enough in order to make a shift that I know that I need? You are worthy of making those changes, and part of showing yourself love is doing what is best for you and not making decisions that would count as self-betrayal. And finally, we have, when I'm connected to spirit, I feel a sense of certainty, magnitude, and ease that I've never known before. And I feel like that is the energy that you want to be in when you focus on deliberately creating. And I think that those are the qualities that you are cultivating. I mean, clarity was something that we were talking about earlier, and like I just said, with ease, like as you step into this deliberate creation, you will realize like things are so much easier because you're not fighting yourself. You're not holding on to a lie because you're afraid of the truth. Instead, you are in your truth. You are speaking your truth. You are living your truth. And even though life may not be, you may have no idea what your full truth is, nobody ever does, you're getting closer and closer to it every day, and the truth of who you are is expanding more and more every day. And the more you embody what you're wanting to see in the world, the more you embody what is true for you, the more you're going to see the universe reflect that back, and the more you're going to see the pathway just unfold ahead of you more easily than it could have before. So pile one, that's where I'm going to leave this reading. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background. That's one of the simplest and easiest ways to show support and appreciation for my channel, so thank you to everyone who does that. If you would like to show me and support in other ways, you can like this video, comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe, shout out to my notification squad, in my intro squad. You can check out my candles. Be sure to use code ASO10 for 10% off. You can check out my social media, my merch. You can check out other videos, especially ones with extendeds. But that's all I have for you guys. So thank you so much for watching and for letting me read for you. I love you guys so much, and I can't wait for you guys to see how lovable you truly are and just how much the universe wants to see you thrive. And I can't wait for you to experience that for yourself. So I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, pile 2. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the second image of the hot air balloon in the night sky, this is going to be your reading on messages from your future self. If you'd like a full breakdown of the reading, there is one in the intro. So we're going to start by looking at, where is your future self at? So this card is going to represent a piece of guidance from your future self. We'll flip that over later. But to start, I like to see it. We have success. We have receive. We have 0 F's given. And we have earth. The frequency of Earth activates our deep connection to this physical plane by showing us the beauty of all the aspects of our Great Mother and revealing the more ethereal, spiritual aspects of our nature. So just make sure everything's in the frame. I love this. This is wonderful. This is gender neutral, but this is some bad bitch energy right here. Your future self is coming through to show you a time where your hard work is finally paying off and you are reaping the tangible benefits and experiencing heights of success that you're either currently putting in the work towards or considering moving in the direction of to receive. Now, this success could be anything. I do feel like for a lot of you, this could be career or monetary success, but you know, we also have this cute little couple in here. So if some of you guys are trying to manifest a relationship or friendships or just better family dynamics, that could be a factor here. But it could also just be becoming more confident in yourself, advocating for yourself. If you've been trying to expand in all areas of your life, I can see that happening successfully. And your future self is coming through to let you know that you are receiving what you deserve and no longer feeling guilty about it or feeling like you don't deserve it. I also really love that we have this 0F's given card, because I definitely feel like one of the hard things about success can be feeling guilty about it or feeling like you don't deserve it or dealing with imposter syndrome or getting too caught up in optics or how other people perceive you. And there's really just a level of freedom and just a feeling of being unashamed of who you are, of how far you've come, of how hard you've worked. And I definitely feel like where your future self is at, one of the things that they would describe feeling is just where you've reached. It's humbling in the sense of like, I think you're going to be kind of blown away at how much you receive, how generously you receive. And I think part of what is changing is the fact that you're no longer blocking your blessings, cutting yourself short, or selling yourself less than what you deserve. And on top of that, I definitely feel like whatever changes you might be making presently or in the near future energetically to get you in alignment with this, your future self is at a place where you're getting tangible results for that. This is a deeply fulfilling time for you where your hard work is paying off and you are realizing that you deserve to relish in every second of it and be open to receiving more. I feel like you're going to recognize where maybe you pushed away good fortune in the past because you felt like you didn't deserve it, or you were afraid to put yourself out there, or you were afraid of what other people might think. And that's not the case anymore. You're no longer letting people make you feel guilty, letting people hold you back. You're really putting yourself first, and also not letting shoulds or the ideas of others hold you back. I definitely think that this is a very grounded time, very fulfilling, very satisfying, and I feel like your future self is like coming here to say like, we're gonna make it, like you're gonna do it, like this happens, like your hard work will be worth it, you know, all, whether it's healing that you're doing, whether it's late nights you're putting in, and you know what, even too, maybe for some of you, you're trying to create the idea that you don't have to work hard to be successful. That can be true. It's a lot about belief system. So you are really doing you unapologetically and living your life unabashedly. Is that a word? Things that held you back, especially beliefs about yourself and about your deservability, are no longer factors that are getting in the way of your life. And you're really taking up space here, being grounded in your body and making tangible progress in this material dimension, and finding a lot of spiritual growth as well through the tangible successes that you're having, where not only are you just receiving more and more, but you're also realizing how much time and energy you do not need to waste on thoughts that are unnecessary, opinions that don't matter, and giving of yourself in ways that are imbalanced. I definitely feel like you have a much better handle on what is worth your time and what isn't. And I also think you're recognizing where maybe in the past you were manipulated by other people guilting you or shaming you or making you feel like if you don't show up for them in this way, or if you don't do XYZ, then you're doing something wrong. There's a real, like, just freedom from guilt and shame here that I think is that you are going to fully embrace as you reach new heights of success. And I think that for you, like, your future self is in this place where it's like, wow, I didn't know life could be this good, and I didn't realize like how worth it this would all be. And also, wow, it feels really good to put myself first and let myself receive what I deserve, and recognize that I don't have to be ashamed of receiving. I don't have to be ashamed of my success. I don't have to give into imposter syndrome or feel like I'm a bad person for working this hard. Like, you're going to be realizing like you deserve to receive praise, accolades, acknowledgement, support, what you've sown. Like, you deserve to receive all of that. And I feel like it's just going to be something that really shows you how good it feels to put yourself first. And I feel like your future self is coming through to say, like, don't give up. We've got this. We both can do it. I know we both can do it because I'm here and it feels great. And I think that no matter where you are at in life, your future self really wants you to know that, like, you have no idea how high you can fly, and just the magic that is awaiting you as you step into more of your power and more of your authenticity. So let's see what guidance your future self has for you. It is okay to say no without explaining yourself. You deserve respect. And I think that's fantastic. And I feel like this falls into everything that we were talking about, you know, like, it can be really hard to focus on yourself or really embrace like all your hard work and the benefits of your hard work if you feel guilty, or you feel like you need to give it away, or you feel like you need to give all your time and energy away. I feel like you're recognizing your value and how precious your time and energy is. And your future self is really saying the sooner you put yourself first and the sooner you believe in yourself and not let others who may be dragging you down or ideas that may be weighing on your spirit to be such a drag, like, the sooner you let go of those and realize like you don't have to accept those as truth. You're not responsible for how other people treat you, especially if they're trying to manipulate you. But in fact, like, you are responsible for making sure you have your own best interests at heart, and you are responsible for your own success. Like, that will also help you release the idea that you're responsible for other people's success, because you're not. You're responsible for yours, and what other people do is up to them. So this is a really beautiful, like, I just love to see this. This is a really beautiful time in your life, and I definitely feel like your future self is really excited to share this with you. And I'd be willing to bet a lot of you feel like this vindication, like, okay, so I do make it, I do get through it, I do get out of this, like, you do. And your future self is saying, like, yeah, you do. So let's go ahead now and move into your tarot. For you guys, I'm using, I believe, the Age of Aquarius Tarot. So if you're curious, but all my decks are always linked down below. And I do just want to say thank you guys so much for everyone who takes the time to leave me a like, a little subscribble, a comment. All of that is super helpful. And I just want to say thank you, you know, for being here, for letting me read for you, and for supporting me in any way that you do, letting the ads play. All of that is super helpful. And yeah, just thank you. So we're going to start by looking at, I don't know why I'm getting a little too Appalachian for my taste. I need to rein it in. Okay, we're going to start by looking at why your future self is showing you this point in time where they're at. So, Spirit, why is pile 2's future self showing them this point in time? Okay, so we have the 10 of Cups, soul connection, prosperity, and prevailing against all odds. Because the dreams that are in your heart are not only ones that you need to keep believing in, but they're showing you this because wherever you are at right now, whatever you are going through, it is all going to be worth it. And for a lot of you, I do feel like there is something about love here, whether it's having a successful romantic relationship, whether it's having more fulfilling friendships, whether it is impacting others on a soul level through what you do in the world. Like, I definitely feel like this is an idea of you having all that you want, and in the sense of prosperity, but also doing something that's meaningful, and also having a meaningful life, and one full of people that make you feel good, and that bring value to your life in the way that you bring value to theirs. And like the 10 of Cups is a wonderful card. I mean, it's true fulfillment. And I feel like your future self is coming through to let you know, like, you do deserve this. Like, you're not meant to, like, keep yourself small. You're not going to stay stuck in the darkness or in a rut or in confusion. And I feel like they're coming through to show you this because they want you to know it's all going to be worth it. And in fact, like, just because you can't see it right now doesn't mean it's not here. And in fact, like, you can see it right now. It's literally in front of your face. The more you believe in it and the more you trust in it, the more powerful and profound it will be when you get to that point and you're like, I knew I could do it. I knew this was out here for me. I knew this existed for me. And I think one of the most powerful things about what your future self is trying to show you is they want you to understand that when you reach this point, the same mental blockages that you may have around like deservability or embracing these things, you're either not going to have, or you're going to realize by that point, are completely irrelevant to your joy, to your fulfillment, and it's going to be a lot easier for you to let them go. I definitely think that, you know, that song about heaven on earth, that is a song your future self is sending you. And I do know some of the lyrics are like, with you, heaven is a place on earth. And I definitely think that, like, you are creating heaven on earth for yourself and others. And I feel like your future self is saying, never believe for a second your dreams and desires don't matter, because if they didn't, they wouldn't have been planted in your heart in the first place. And I think that's really important. They're in your heart, not in your mind. Your mind might visualize them, your mind might fantasize about them, but your heart knows how to magnetize them into reality. And they're not meant to stay fantasies. They're not meant to stay dreams. They're meant to be here on earth. And they're meant to be real. And I think for some of you, you might want to like ask yourself, am I ready for that to be a reality? Because I think we can dream about things, but then the reality of them can be quite confronting. And I think your future self is saying, you know, you're going to have this. So get used to the idea of what it truly feels like and what it will be for you. What will it feel like for your life, for the dreams that you've had to be real. I know a lot of you are already putting in all that hard work. Your hard work is not for nothing. Okay, let's see how you can align with this future in the present and get there as quickly as possible. So if what I'm about to describe is what you're already doing, then trust that you're already doing everything in your power to get there, and there's nothing you really need to change. That could just be confirmation of that. So what does pile 2 need to do to align with this future as quickly as possible, please? We have the Page of Wands. Inspiration, potential, free spirit. So I think one of the things that you're really being encouraged to do is not meticulously plan. To instead, number one, let your inner child lead. And not in a way where it's like, oh, you should just like throw caution to the wind and not use any logic. But what I'm saying is like, let passion and spark and the things that make you excited and feel joy, that make you feel young, like let those things guide you. But I also think that when you have lost your joy, lost your spark, lost any desire to do things, I feel like you're really being encouraged to reconnect with that inner spark, because your inner spark is what's leading you to this place. I feel like you may have this idea like you have to have it all figured out or you have to meticulously plan. And that's just not the case here. I think if anything, think about like so many young protagonists are represent Page of Wands. I think an excellent example of that is Annie from the musical Little Orphan Annie. You know, she couldn't plan all that happening. I mean, she did kind of manifest with how she sang a little bit, but she was just so dang charming. I mean, Daddy Warbucks wanted a boy, and she was like, well, I'll tell you what, you're getting a girl, and she's gonna be fabulous. And you know what? She did her little thing, and obviously it's a scripted story, but like, I feel like you underestimate your charm, your charisma, your likability, and just the power of your spirit, and the power to see the potential in things that others can't. I definitely feel like even if you have no idea what this success, what receiving, what your dreams look like on earth, just knowing that the potential is there and that all you need to do is trust yourself and follow your inspiration, that will lead you there. I also feel like one thing that your future self is wanting you to know is like, there might be times on this journey where you are really bogged down by what you think you need to be doing and shoulds and beating yourself up. And that's when you really want to realign with that simple part of you that lights up with joy, that enjoys laughing, that enjoys being playful, that enjoys seeing life from a lighter perspective, that has hope. I definitely feel like there is a part of you that needs to keep your spark alive in order to reach this. And when your spark dies, that's when you really need to regroup and care for yourself and just give yourself freedom, the freedom to have fun and laugh and play and be with others, or do things that just make you feel good unapologetically, make you feel excited, make you feel energetic. And that might require setting some boundaries. That might require, you know, paying attention to what drains you or what makes you feel hopeless. Because I do think those things, while they can't thwart this future, they certainly can slow it down and make it harder for you to keep going. I think more than anything, you don't need like a 50-step plan. You don't need a specific item. You just need a belief in yourself and to follow your own inspiration and have the courage to do so. You know, inspiration doesn't always show us what's 50 feet down the path. It might just show us where to take the next step, but that's enough, because it'll keep feeding itself. I feel like you need to know that you don't need rigid barriers or strict timelines or anything like that. You just need to give yourself the freedom to be spontaneous, to be open to different ideas. I feel like part of your success is in being flexible and being open-minded and willing to change things up and willing to do things differently, and trust yourself when those times arise. So as long as you're doing that, you're doing great. And if you have found that maybe you are part of the demographic that feels like, you know, you kind of lost your inner spark, you've lost your passion a little bit, the universe is saying like, you're not going to get there closer by you know, putting your expectations of yourself in an Excel sheet. I think you might get there faster by just doing something you love, or just being silly for a little bit, playing a game, or just doing something that makes life just fun for a little bit, just reconnects you with your inner spark. I think that is quite powerful, and that inner spark is what will carry you here. So now I want to get some reassurance and some guidance from your future self about fears that you may have in the present. So Pile 2's future self, what guidance do you have for Pile 2 when it comes to any fears they may have presently, please? We have the 7 of Swords. So I feel like that this is a lot about, like, this is once again talking about your mind. I feel like there is a part of you that almost holds yourself back because you're afraid you'll lose yourself in success or in your dreams. Or that what if they're not real, and you go this far and you have this hope and you're disappointed. And I feel like your future self is saying, like, why would you even do that to yourself? You're just holding back on the joy that, like, you're just holding back in life in ways that you don't need to. Like, your mind is wrong. When your mind is trying to keep you small and tell you that it's not worth it, or that you need to play it safe, or that you need to live in the real world. The real world that you're meant to live in is one where you receive abundant blessings, where you reap the tangible efforts of your, like, you reap tangible things that are a metric of how hard you've worked, a metric of success. You're meant to live a good life here. You don't need to escape into fantasy to feel good. Like, life as a reality can feel good. And I feel like your future self is coming through to let you know, like, the part of your mind that thinks that all will go to shit, or that you will fail, or that things will never work out, or you'll never have what you truly want, that is the biggest inhibitor to you reaching a success, and that's what's slowing you down the most. Let it talk its shit, but don't care about it. Don't give it any air. Just be like, all right, okay, well, I think you're wrong, and keep going. You know, I really see this Page of Wands and the Seven of Swords as, think about the kid that dreams big, that says, like, one day I want to be a musician. And the, you know, the bogged down, angry adult with so many issues that they try to tear the kid down and say, you can't be a musician. You're not going to make money with that. What do you think you're going to do? Nobody does that. Like, what your future self is wanting you to know is that you've got both of those in you. Not saying, like, literally that you're that person, but I think you do that to yourself. You probably couldn't conceive of doing that to someone else, but I bet you do it to yourself in more ways than you realize. You know, maybe your inner child really dreams about just having someone that loves you unconditionally the same way you love them, and that you have a beautiful, healthy, loving relationship. And your mind says, well, love isn't real, or all love fades eventually. You know, love has self-serving purposes. You need to tell your brain, shut the fuck up. Like, how does your brain know? It clearly hasn't experienced it yet. It can't know that. Like, I think that your future self is coming through to say that you are generating a lot of resistance and fear to beautiful dreams that want to manifest. And you don't need to squash your hopes. You need to squash what's trying to squash your hopes. I think that you should be afraid. Like, it's actually scarier to think that you wouldn't reach this point in the future because you feel like you're not worthy of it, or you delude yourself into thinking it doesn't exist or it can't happen for you. That is way scarier than actually going for your dreams. So I feel like your future self is asking you to stop lying to yourself, stop tearing yourself down, stop, you know, raining on your own parade, because all it's doing is reinforcing this idea that you can't have what you want, that your dreams aren't worth it, and that the hard work you're putting in won't pay off. And that's just not true. It's deception. Stop lying to yourself. Okay, so now I want to get acknowledgement / encouragement from your future self about your present. So I just want your future, like, to have your future self, like, see you and just acknowledge where you're at in some way. So pile 2's future self, what encouragement or guidance, acknowledgement would you like to give pile 2? Yeah, we have the Lovers, eternal love, reconciliation, decisiveness. So number 1, your future self is coming through to say, I know in your heart you're a lover. I know in your heart you know that life can be full of love. They say in heaven, love comes first. With you, heaven is a place on earth. Your future self is coming through to say, remember who you are. Remember that at your core, you are love. You are love. You deserve love. And I'm not just talking about romantic love, though. That is absolutely included in that, unless you don't want that. Love comes in so many forms. Love comes in the form of, like, I'll use my life, for example. It almost makes me want to cry. Love comes in the form of you guys just sharing kindness with me. Love comes in the form of, you know, a dog wagging its tail when it sees you. Love comes in the form of, you know, a bird perching on your windowsill and just making a moment magical. Love comes in the form of a friend showing up for you when they don't have to, but because they want to. Love is everywhere, all around us, all the time. And I feel like your future self is coming through to remind you that there is a concrete effort happening in the world to make people not believe in love, to not believe in compassion, to not believe that goodness is all around us, but it is. That's why they work so hard to delude us. And if you're feeling lost from yourself, your future self is wanting to remind you that it's okay, because you will come back to yourself. And sometimes it's as simple as just shifting back into an energy of, I accept myself and I love myself and I know that I'm enough. I know that I'm worthy. I feel like your future self is wanting you to acknowledge the fact that it is not silly or stupid to believe in love, to believe, to have hope, to believe in good things, and to choose love, to choose to treat others lovingly, to make decisions that are unconditionally loving to yourself. In fact, that's the only way for you to be able to exist on this planet and not lose yourself. You are love. And when you make decisions from a place of love, including you, that are loving towards you, that is an outward effect that ripples into the future. And your future self is really saying, we are receiving the results of you shifting into love. The Lovers, more than anything, talks about choosing, making a choice. And you have a choice in every moment of every day to choose deception, illusion, ego, or love. You know, and sometimes it's just as simple as loving yourself enough to stop the internal dialogue and say, I accept myself. I'm okay. Negative thoughts do not define who I am. Negative thoughts are not the truth. They're just a thing, and I can release them as easily as I can release a fart into the wind. I feel like your future self is wanting to acknowledge to you also that it's not silly or stupid to desire love, whether it be romantic love, familial love, or just live a life that you love, or all those things. You will come back to yourself time and time again. It's okay to get lost. And also, it's okay to not know. It's okay to be uncertain. Part of the magic of love is it appears when we least expect it, and it reminds us, oh yeah, this is all worth it, and you're worth it. You are so, so, so worth it. And I do feel like your future self is saying, like, really trust what's in your heart, because not what's in your mind, what's in your heart, because what's in your heart, it was put there for a reason. In the words of our Lord and Savior, Cinderella, a dream is a wish your heart makes. And I feel like your future self is really coming through to acknowledge, like, it is hard to stay in alignment with that. And it's okay if you get lost in it, because all that you're doing is just putting on an illusion for a little bit until you remember the truth, which is that you are love. Living from love is essential. You need love the way you need water, you know? And like I said, I'm not talking about romantic love. I know some of you get your panties in a twist about that. That's okay. You're allowed to. I love you anyway. But if you want romantic love included in that, you can have that. I feel like some people are so afraid to open themselves up to that or believe that they can have it because of understandable fears. And maybe part of living a life from love is recognizing that no matter where love leads you, or how you love others, or how others love you, what unfolds is not a reflection of your worthiness, but rather just a reflection of all the incredible possibilities that exist here on this planet. And I think that your future self is really asking you and acknowledging that maybe you've been struggling to give yourself permission to just be more loving to yourself and look at life through a softer lens. And I think they're really asking you to do that. And if you've been working hard to do that, I think they're acknowledging how challenging that's been, and the fact that you shouldn't take that for granted or act like it's not challenging if it is. Like, give yourself acknowledgement that you've been working hard to maintain that. And if you've become disconnected from that, I feel like your future self is reminding you, hey, this is who you are. And no matter what you think you are, the truth is in your heart. It's in your spirit. And you know yourself better than anyone. Don't let fear or deception or projection keep you from the truth in your heart. Okay, we're gonna go ahead now and just finish off with some final guidance for you. So to start, we have imagination. I embrace and nourish the creative aspects of my mind. So that is this more of this Page of Wands energy. Like, I feel like if you could even just give yourself time every single day to just visualize your future, visualize your dreams, and just imagine like all the wonderful possibilities. You could have a new thing to imagine every day, but just give yourself time to be bored and your mind to be blank so that you can just get lost in your imagination. Your imagination is a very powerful form of creativity that is helping you create the future. We also have new moon in Aquarius, open up to change. So yeah, I definitely think that you are being encouraged to change how you think about things, especially if they're keeping you stuck or making you feel like things aren't possible. But also, in order to receive these things, you might have to change how you do things. You know, if you typically give in to guilt or shame or obligation, be open to changing that. You know what the discomfort of self-betrayal feels like. Try the discomfort that comes from putting yourself first. I think you will find that putting yourself first actually feels way better than self-betrayal, and the discomfort that comes from saying no, which is what your future self is encouraging you to do, will actually become liberating and be the keys to this successful future you're already coming down. We have empathize. Instead of judging or gossiping, empathize with this person. Try to see their point of view. Choose to only see through love. So this above part may not resonate as much. I think that this final phrase, choose to only see through love, is really important. But you might have people that tear you down or make you feel like your dreams are stupid, or that they might just try to make you feel insecure. And that's really coming from a place of inferiority and sadness and jealousy and envy on their part. And that's a sad place to be. You don't have to hold on to that. You know, you don't have to feel like there's something wrong with you or feel like there's truth in what they're saying. The truth in what they're saying is that they don't feel good enough to have or receive what you have. And the truth is that that's not true, but it's not your job to show them that, and you don't have to take it personally. And if you share yourself in any way or are successful, you should anticipate that there are going to be people like that. But also know that nobody criticizing you is ever doing more than you. So there's that. And finally, we have, as soon as I choose to see the light in the dark corners, I redirect my power toward what I want. And I feel like this is definitely a reiteration of that Lover's energy. Like, find the light in everything. Because oftentimes that can be the very thing that leads you out of immense darkness, confusion, lack of clarity. And just also know that nobody can take your future from you. Nobody can take your success from you. Nobody can take your power from you. You can certainly give it away, but you can always take it back. And it's never too late. You're never behind, and you're doing amazing, and you're going to continue to. And I cannot wait for you to reap the beautiful blessings of the success that is 100% coming to you. So pile 2, that is where I'm going to leave this reading. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background. That is one of the simplest and easiest ways to show support and appreciation for my channel. So thank you to everyone who does that. But if you would like to do that in other ways, you can like this video, you can comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe if you haven't already. You can click that little notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. I'm really just going into my like southern accent now. I don't know why. You can check out my merch. You can check out my social media. You can check out fucking other videos. You can check out all my candles. Be sure to use code ASO10 for 10% off on my candles or any candles on the Angelic Magic 888 site. Yeah, but that's all I have for you guys. So thank you so much for watching and for being here and for letting me read for you. I love you all so much, and I hope you all love yourselves just as much. I hope you have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, Pile 3. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the picture of a girl climbing a ladder, this is going to be your reading on messages from your future self. If you'd like a full breakdown of the reading, there is one in the intro. This card is going to represent advice from your future self. We will look at that in a bit, but let's start by looking at where your future self is at. So to start, we have adventures, we have joy, we have time to move on, and Merkaba. The frequency of Merkaba supports our ability to use our consciousness to traverse into other layers of reality and dimensions. It activates our access to our Akashic inheritance as well, merging the totality of our experiences into our present to serve our highest purpose. Okay, make sure. All right, yeah. I really like this. This is really cool. And how this manifests for you might be different, although all of the interpretations I'm about to give you, you could resonate with all of them. So your future self is definitely in a very powerful place, one where you're fully letting go from the past. And for some of you, you could be moving to a new place or have made the move to a new place. Or you may not be really leaving anywhere physically, but you are leaving a lot of pain and struggle in the past. If you are doing a lot of healing work right now and wondering whether it will be worth it, yes, it will be. And I feel like your future self is indicating the work that you're putting in is not for nothing, and that in fact it will be very useful. There's definitely a massive release in letting go, especially with this waterfall here. It seems like even if your life physically is not changing, how you see it and how you live it is very much changing. I see for a lot of you, unless you're not a spiritual person, there is a lot of spiritual growth and expansion that you'll be experiencing, especially with this Merkaba card here. I think even the very concept of time and like exploration of consciousness are going to be things that your future self is focused on a lot and finding a lot of joy in. The fact that we have the joy card here, your future self is indicating that where you are headed, it is a place that you're going to be really happy to be. And I feel like it could be a literal physical place that makes you happier, but I think even then, it's you who makes that place joyful. I feel like you're living life more so on your own accord, and just you're opening up to life in a way that maybe you didn't in the past because of wounds or because of attachments or just holding on to things. And it just seems like you're more open to life surprises, and not holding yourself back or holding yourself down. I'm almost seeing like if you're a caged bird right now, you're gonna be a free bird later. Your future self is definitely a free bird, and there's a real severance of the past from your reality in a way where it no longer clouds or distorts your present and makes you excited for the future that you're creating. I also feel like energetically, your energy is going to be a lot more sovereign than what you're used to. If you are someone who resonates with being a highly empathic individual, someone who takes on other people's energies, your future self has definitely mastered energetic sovereignty. And also, you may be learning or mastering astral projection, remote viewing, exploring the universe through your consciousness. There could be a lot happening on an etheric and energetic level for you, where you are finding great joy in the spiritual dimensions and going on spiritual adventures, even if you haven't physically changed locations. For some of you, you're like, what are you talking about, you crazy lady? That's probably not for you. This is probably much more a shift in perspective, where even if you're not leaving your location, you're finding the joy in your present environment and looking at your environment through new eyes. You're finding ways to take your power back into your own hands and make life more enjoyable for you. One thing that this card talks about with joy is joy is when, well, let me just read it. I liked what it said. Joy is a natural state of being. If we don't feel joy, it is because we have chosen someone else's truth or concept of joy over our own. Focus on the delight that joy gives you and decide to feel joy as often as you can. When you become joy, more joy will turn up in your life. And I like this idea of your concept of joy. I definitely think for all of you, where your future self is at is a place where things that could be currently plaguing you in the present, or things that you may be if you're feeling trapped or stuck, your future self is not there anymore. If you're looking for more excitement in life, or looking for more expansion of life or your consciousness or your conscious experience, your future self has gotten there. I definitely think that there's a shift from living life for others to living life for you, or if not literally living life for others, living life based on what others think is correct. I definitely think life is more exciting. Life is more free-flowing, more joyful, and the clouds of the past can no longer make your present less light. I definitely think as well, you are feeling more in tune with yourself spiritually. Even if you don't consider yourself a spiritual person, I feel like you're just more in tune with who your true self is in that moment of time. I also feel like the concept of time itself is dissolving. Like, let's say right now in the present, you feel like you're running out of time, or there's not enough time to get things done, or it's too late for you to make changes. Your future self is recognizing that that was all an illusion. That time is fluid and it's not even really necessarily real. It's perception of it and all of that. I feel like you're realizing you can be renewed and refreshed and look at life through fresh eyes. I definitely think that your future self is so much lighter than past versions of you, and this version of lightness may be so foreign to you that you can't even conceive of it right now. And that's all the more reason why your future self is coming through to say, hey, this is where you're headed. This is where we get to. Life can be so much more fun and freeing and exciting than you realize. And you're going to get there. Whatever you're doing to change location, change your perspective, or expand spiritually, it's all going to be worth it. You are going to reap the benefits of it. And I feel like you're going to find great joy in whatever changes you're making, or in whatever changes you flow with as life brings them to you. I definitely think that, and there's kind of been this theme, even though all three readings have been different so far, there's this theme of empowerment where you're kind of taking the reins on your own life and unapologetically going after what you want. And I definitely think for you guys, there's a real release of the chains of the past and release of things, people, places that have held you back. And also there's a real blank slate when it comes to how you look at your future. And in fact, I feel like your future self isn't even really focused on in your future self's present. They are not focused on what the future holds. In fact, they're much more focused on what the present holds. And instead of having a specific future vision, there's just an excitement and an optimism about what is to come, because you are no longer projecting any ideas of what you think the future will be. You're just open to what the present has to show you and how you can work with it. There's a lot of lightness, a lot of open-mindedness, and a lot of just openness to how your life could unfold. I think that there's a lot of surprises in store in terms of going beyond what you thought was possible and experiencing things that seem so unreal you can't even conceive of them now. Whether that is learning a language you never thought you could and living in the place where they speak that language, or experiencing spiritual planes that you could have never conceived of before. Whether it's waking up in the morning and feeling a sense of joy and optimism that you never thought possible. There's so many different ways that it can be, there's so many ways that it can unfold for you. And if all of those apply, awesome. But your future self is here to let you know that things can and will be better than you can imagine. And whatever you're doing right now to make changes, they want you to know it will be worth it. And life will get a lot more exciting. Your future self is here to indicate that there's a lot of excitement in your future. And if you are worried that some part of your present or past, or some part of your past that seems to stay stuck in the present, your future self is indicating that you can and will let go of it. You will release it. It will be shed, and it will not follow you into this future version of yourself in this future point in time. So let's look at what your future self's guidance for you is. Take control. You're in charge. Approach this day with the power and authority of a CEO, or power and authority of whatever you associate power and authority with. I definitely think that makes a lot of sense. I feel like you are taking power and taking charge you're taking charge of your life in a way where I think that you're not going to allow limiting beliefs or others' limiting beliefs to stop you. I feel like you're also not going to allow fear or what ifs to stop you from taking risks and exploring new heights. I definitely think that your future self is wanting you to know that life will be a lot more exciting. I also keep hearing life is a highway. I think it's by Rascal Flatts. So that could be a song for you as well. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into your tarot now and go a bit deeper. I am using a smaller deck this time because for the last two groups, the bottoms of their decks were cut off. So if you see complaints about that, that's why. I'm going to have to try to make it up to them in some way, but I'm actually going to check this time because I forgot to do that the last two times. I was too in the flow, but we're going to go ahead and start by looking at why is your future self showing you this point in the future? So for pile 3, why is their future self showing them this point in the future? What is the significance of this? Okay, we have Temperance and the Ace of Swords. Is it in the frame? Okay, yes, it is. Naturally when I check, it is in the frame. I love this. Your future self is showing you this because they want you to know to not give up and to know that clarity is coming. If you work with Archangel Michael in any way, Archangel Michael shows up in the Temperance card, and he could be coming through to let you know that he is protecting you and watching over you through this transition into your future and wants you to know that your future is protected. But also, one reason why they're showing you this is to give you the clarity and certainty to know that your efforts are not in vain and the changes you want to make are possible. Not only are they possible, but I think they're essential for your well-being. And you're not crazy in thinking that things need to change or that you're ready for life to be different. With the Temperance card being here as well, this is also coming through to ask you to be patient. And I know that's really the last thing anyone wants to hear, but your patience is paramount in this process, because especially if the changes that you're making are in the material world, like for example, if you are going to be moving, like let's say to a different country, for example, that can take time. That can take, an acclimation of resources. That can take, a lot of factors outside of your control. If you are building up your spiritual reserves, building up your spiritual awareness, that takes time and that takes effort and consistency. If you are working on healing and working on releasing the past, that also takes time, effort, and consistency. So I really feel like your future self is showing you this to remind you not to give up and to not feel like just because it doesn't happen immediately that it will never happen. You're really being encouraged to be as balanced as possible as you move into this new future for yourself, and your future self wants you to know that slow and steady wins the race here, and to know that you don't have to push yourself so hard and feel like you have to do everything all at once and that you have to get it all done, and that if it doesn't unfold at a rapid pace, it won't happen, because that's just not true. In fact, I think the more patient you can be and the more balanced you can be through this process, the easier you will flow into this new version of yourself. And I definitely feel like as well, there are parts of you that exist now that will very much be a part of this future version of you, this future self that's coming through. And you might believe right now that you can't be you can't have those parts of yourself, or that those versions of yourself can't come with you, and they absolutely can. I feel like one thing to remember about your future self is that they're still you. And you might have this idea that you need to be a completely different person or someone that you're not in order to have this new future. And I feel like your future self is coming back to remind you, hey, your future self is still you. So if you visualize your future self being someone that is a morning person and gets up every day at the butt crack of dawn, and you are a night owl, you might have to remember, I'm still gonna be me in the future, and maybe I don't have to get up at the butt crack of dawn. Maybe 10 a.m. is good enough. Maybe 8 a.m. is good enough. Maybe I can find something that still works for me. if you have this vision of yourself, a vision of your future self being someone so completely different from who you naturally are that it feels almost unattainable to you, I do feel like your future self is coming through to say you can be happy being yourself, and the changes that you implement, the new aspects of yourself that you grow into and expand to become, they will just mix with who you already are. And the parts of yourself that you leave, you won't miss them and they won't be needed. It will be a very easy process for you to let go of those things, all in good time. But it definitely requires your patience. And I think your future self is asking you to not deny inherent aspects of yourself because you think they can't come with you, or you think they're bad or wrong, because they're not. Like one example that I'm getting is sensitivity, or if you're someone who's maybe naturally more fearful, you know, you might gain the new version of you might have more of an adventurous spirit, but might still naturally be fearful. And so you have to balance those out. So maybe you find, like, for example, oh, I'm going to go on an adventure today. Let me make sure I know exactly when my train leaves and where I'm going to be going, and you know, how much money do I need, and how do I plan so that, like, I, you know, any avoidable fears that I have, I can be prepared for them. Like, I think that your future self wants you to know who you are now is already wonderful, and who you're becoming is just an expansion of that wonderfulness. And you don't need to be in a rush to get here, because truthfully, you're getting there in perfect time. But I guess speaking of, my next question is, how can you align with this future now and get there as quickly as possible? So if what I say you're already doing, then know that you're already doing everything in your power to get there as quickly as possible. So I didn't say anything. So Spirit, how can pile 3 align with this future version of themselves and do so as quickly as possible? Okay, we have the Queen of Pentacles and the High Priestess. So number 1, I definitely think trusting your intuition is going to be very important here. But also, I think there is also a message here about being cautious of who you talk to about your future. Not that I think that anyone could sabotage things, but, you know, I do think some people may not understand the significance of the changes you're trying to make, and could be potentially hurtful or just kind of take the wind out of your sails. So I do think one thing that you're being encouraged to do is hold your dreams close, and don't feel like you need others to know what they are in order for them to be real. But also with this Queen of Pentacles, you're really being encouraged to focus on stability and ways to nurture yourself now in the present. I also feel like, you know, the Queen of Pentacles to me reminds me of like a mother card. So how can you mother yourself, or how can you find support from nurturing sources? I definitely think as you step into this new life, it can be really beneficial to have support from someone who is nurturing, or have a routine that is very nurturing, because change can already be kind of uncomfortable even if it feels good. So one thing that I think as well is to balance your spiritual side with practical growth, and pay attention to how you can bridge your spiritual side into your material reality. I also think that if there is a mother figure in your life, or a mother figure that has been very significant to you, there may be guidance that they've given you, or ways that they lived your life that you find inspirational. And I think that you're being encouraged to take inspiration from that and find ways that you can live your life that way, or look at pieces of advice they've lived by or given you that have been really helpful, and really embrace those. I also think, though, you can trust your intuition, and you can trust the unknown. You don't need to have everything lined up or have everything figured out, but as long as you have a decent safety net and a decent level of stability, I think that you can go a lot further and make a lot more happen than you realize. I definitely think that you're being encouraged not to make drastic, intense decisions. You're being encouraged to be patient and let this process unfold naturally, and give yourself time and grace and space to just allow things to grow, and to give yourself enough time to be ready for bigger changes, for bigger differences you might want to make. But I definitely think that also pay attention to your routine and how much self-care there is there. And I don't just mean like like, you know, fancy baths and shit like that. I mean, like, you know, do you do movement? How healthfully are you eating, or are you able to eat? Do you drink enough water? Do you get enough sleep? Like, I definitely think that there are tangible physical things that could take away from your joy, like, for example, not getting enough sleep, or for example, not giving your brain time to rest. You know, if you're always consuming content or media, especially when a lot of it is negative, like, I do think that there's a lot of things that you could be doing to just make it easier to be more joyful. And like, sometimes that's just getting enough sleep, making sure you're drinking enough water. Those things are excellent foundations for growth. And I think with the High Priestess being here, you're also really being encouraged to stay in tune with your own spiritual side, with your own spiritual process, even if that's just journaling, or maybe you seek guidance out if you don't have much of a spiritual connection yourself. But even then, you're really being encouraged to find your own spiritual process that you can lean to as a source of support when you are going through the unknown, because I do think that you have this internal reserve within you, and there's just this internal wisdom within you that could really help you just trust the unknown and recognize that you're more than capable of facing it, and that on the other side of this unknown is more joy than you could possibly imagine, and more freedom and excitement than you can conceive of right now. So I want to get some reassurance / guidance from your future self about any fears that you may be having at present. So Pile 3's future self, what guidance do you have for Pile 3 when it comes to their fears? We have the Two of Wands. So I definitely think that this is kind of going back to some of the guidance that I was giving you earlier. Some of your fears are completely preventable, and they could just be preventable by being prepared. But also there are certain times where you're just going to feel fear and have to do it anyway. I feel like your future self is letting you know that if you have the expectation that you have to have no fear in order to take the next step, you're going to be stuck standing in place for a really long time. If you have the belief that other people are fearless when they do things, or that they don't feel fear at all when they take risks, that's not true. They feel fear too. They're just feeling it and doing it anyway. I feel like with this Two of Wands as well, you're really being encouraged to, instead of letting your mind be occupied with fear, let your mind be occupied with potential and things that you want to experience for the future. Like, what choices can you make that will bring you more joy now? I feel like your future self is telling you that there are concrete ways that you can make things less overwhelming and scary for you right now by just giving yourself solutions and tools to rely on and fall back on when the fear gets too much, when you are uncertain. You know, if you can, like, one thing that I tell myself, because my mind, she's really good at ruminating. The thought of spending all my time counteracting rumination, that used to be something that was like, but that's so much mental energy. But it's like, yeah, but it's a lot of mental energy to sit in rumination too. Like, you're going to be using that brain space anyway. Why don't you use it to counteract, you know, what your mind is doing, rather than let it just run amok? And that actually has helped me a lot. I definitely think though as well, you're being encouraged to start planning, you know, even if you don't have concrete plans. Like, when you're feeling fearful or when you're feeling stuck, if you don't have one already, start making a bucket list. Start thinking about, like, what are my dreams? What are my goals? I also feel like too, sometimes when I feel, you know, like stuck or crappy, I really like watching things that are set in a place that I want to visit or experience someday. Even if the show itself is like stressful or something else, like, I feel like sometimes, especially shows that take place in really beautiful places, like, you can just kind of get lost in the scenery and you don't even have to pay attention to the story if it stresses you out. Or even then, you don't even have to like watch a scripted show. You could just go on YouTube, which you're already on, and search up a walking tour of a place. Like, they have those all over the world. and you can just sit there and let someone walk through and pay attention to the surroundings. Maybe you can Google businesses and see if they're still open and be like, oh, I want to go there one day, and write that down. Like, instead of, I feel like your future self is saying, instead of using your mental energy to ruminate or feel like you can't do things or feel like you're trapped and stuck, use that mental energy to start planning for the future you want to have, and planning adventures that your future self is going to take. Because I feel like this future self that's coming through is one that's already experienced some of that stuff. And you'll find that maybe some of those plans you don't feel as drawn to anymore, and that's okay. And other plans just work out perfectly. And you're like, wow, I don't even have to plan my itinerary for this trip because my past self did it. Like, thanks, past self. This is going to be so fun and exciting. Like, I definitely feel like there's a lot that you could do to make life easier for your future self by just not by finding ways to escape that are healthier and more concrete and productive than just getting stuck in loops of fear or focusing on how trapped you feel or how much you wish things were different or you were different, if that makes sense. But now I want to look at, I just want to get some acknowledgement or encouragement from your future self about your present. So, just anything that they want to acknowledge about how far you've come or anything like that. So Pile 3's future self, what do you want to acknowledge when it comes to Pile 3's future self? What do you want to give them credit for or just encourage them about? We have the Page of Swords. So I definitely feel like they want to acknowledge just how brilliant your mind is, and also how witty and inquisitive and fun and funny you are. But they also want to acknowledge how damaging and destructive your mindset and mentality can be. Like, this Page of Swords energy is quite literally a double-edged sword. And I feel like your future self is wanting you to know that your mind is a very powerful tool, and it always has been, and you can wield it in ways that benefit you rather than ways that drag you down. And you have the power to control your mind. You may feel like right now that's impossible or that your mind is beyond your control, but that's not true. And your future self is saying you literally can take control of your thoughts, of your mind. You may not be able to control it every minute of every second, but you are in control of how you respond to it and what you are willing to accept from it. Our minds are not meant to rule us. We are meant to rule our minds. And I feel like your future self is acknowledging like how much of a challenge that is, but also acknowledging that you can do it and you have done it, especially in the future. And if you're already taking efforts to do that, know that those efforts aren't in vain. And if you've had the belief that you can't change your mentality, you can't change your mind, then definitely nothing in life will change. Because trust me, buddy, you can change your mind. You can change your mind as much as you change your socks. Like, you could change your mind every day, all the time. And know that your mind can be a fertile ground for creation or a source of destruction and decay and depletion. And I feel like your future self is saying you have the power of choice, and you know what you truly want in your heart is not what has made you feel stuck. You deserve to use that powerful mind of yours to cut through the bullshit rather than feed yourself bullshit because you don't feel good enough or you feel like having hope is useless. You are so much stronger than you realize. And I feel like your future self is saying also, like, there's so much more for you in life than you're currently aware of. And part of seeing more and realizing more is realizing that there's so little you truly know, and that your mind is so much more powerful when it's open and when it leaves space for the unknown and for surprises. I feel like your future self is really encouraging you to stop being so sure of everything, because it's once you are uncertain that the world will open up to you and magical unknowns will reveal themselves to you. They want you to know that as you evolve, you will find better ways to temper your mindset, and it will get easier in time. But to know it's not impossible, it's not insurmountable, and in fact, there are so many fun adventures that you have yet to experience and so many wonderful surprises and things to learn that your future self cannot wait for you to experience. And we have the 6 of Wands on the bottom of the deck, which is literally all about success. So be consistent, trust in your inevitable success, Trust that you will triumph over what you feel like has the upper hand in your life right now, and just know that it will all be okay. So we're going to go ahead and finish off with some final guidance for you. So to start, we have denial. That's a river in Egypt. I acknowledge my fear and replace it with the insight of awareness. So I feel like maybe for a lot of you watch this and you're like, this isn't really for me. This really can't happen for me. And it's like, stop being in denial. Stop being in denial about the fact, like, you may really want to push away the idea that you have more power over your thoughts than you realize. You may need help. You may not be able to do it on your own, but you can do it. It is possible. And also, if you're in denial about things getting better, I feel like your future self is saying stop, because that's literally just holding you back and keeping you stuck in a place that you know makes you miserable. If all you want is to be happy and fulfilled and excited about life, that's where your future self is at. That's where you're meant to be. And that's where you will be. And the sooner you embrace that and trust in that and just be open to the infinite ways that you can get there, the sooner you can really start heading in that direction. And I think you already are. We also have embrace the flow of life. So yeah, I also feel like there's a part of you that really maybe wants the instant gratification of getting there now, which is so real. I love it. Like, who doesn't love instant gratification? But also just recognize that, like, you're in a powerful flow, and sometimes good things take time, and sometimes we have to do things over and over, or, you know, go slower for a bit so we can go faster later. I'm also thinking of like a bow and arrow. You know, the bow has to be drawn back so that it can shoot forward, right? There are beautiful things in your future, and there are also beautiful things in your present that you may be missing. You're exactly where you need to be, and know that you are flowing into this future version of yourself in the perfect time, in the perfect way. Release the idea that you're doing something wrong, or that there's a right way to do things. There is no right or wrong way to do things. There is no time frame in which you have to accomplish things. You don't even have to accomplish shit. You can just live and exist. Embrace the fact that there's nothing wrong with where you're at right now. There's nothing wrong with you. And that, in fact, there's nothing to do but to just be open to magic and mystery and all that life has to offer, and trust the flow that you're already riding. What did I say? Congratulations, something exciting is coming and you deserve it. So, and I think that's just, I bet that's just a small taste of a lot of exciting things that are to come into your future. So just know, like, things are gonna be looking up. As soon as you leave this video, I want you to affirm things are getting better every second of every day. And I know that I've got beautiful things coming my way. And finally, we have, I choose to be a super attractor and have unwavering faith in the universe. Yes, you are a miracle magnet. You attract beautiful things, and you can have faith in where the universe is leading you. It's hard because you have a powerful mind, and so if your mind comes to conclusions that are self-destructive or keep you stuck, you know, it can feel like you can't have faith in the universe, but you can attract beautiful, beautiful, joyful things. And that can start with just generating more joy within, or finding ways to create small joys in your life and see how they create a butterfly effect of beautiful blessings in your whole world. So pile 3, that's where I'm going to leave this reading. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background. That is one of the simplest and easiest ways to show support or appreciation for my channel. But if you'd like to support me in other ways, you can like this video, you can comment down below, you let me know how it resonates, you can subscribe if you haven't already, you can click that little notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. You can check out my merch, you can check out my social media, you can check out my candles. Be sure to use code ISA10 for 10% off. You can check out my other videos, especially ones with extendeds. But that's all I have for you guys. So thank you so much for watching and for letting me read for you. I really hope this reading helped, and I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, pile 4. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the 4th card with the scorpion on it, I bet there's some Scorpio placements out there. Shout out to you. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. So this card is going to represent guidance from your future self, but these 4 cards are going to represent where your future self is at. So let's go ahead and look at that. Full breakdown of the reading in the intro. So we have patience, We have acceptance. We have connect with nature. And prosperity. The frequency of prosperity supports our feeling of well-being by allowing the inclusion of everything that makes our body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit sing. It invites us to express ourselves in joy and celebration of the abundance and riches that the universe provides. So make sure, okay, let me just scooch these over a little bit. I really like this, and actually I think that this future is not too far away. I'm sorry if you heard me burp. This is really beautiful, and I would be willing to bet that the future and present here are kind of coexisting, but your future self, or they will be soon. I think you can step into this a lot more quickly than you realize. Your future self is in a place of relaxation, honestly, and a place where you're not only recognizing all the blessings around you, but the fact that you're in alignment with future blessings and are generating a prosperous life for yourself. I feel like if you already have generated a lot of prosperity for yourself, but maybe have fears of losing that or fears that you won't be able to maintain it, I feel like your future self is getting you to a place where you're understanding that there is a cycle to life and a cycle to all things, you know, birth, death, rebirth. And you're in a place where you're accepting all that has happened, accepting yourself unconditionally, and also recognizing that you don't have to do everything all at once. Like, I'm hearing Rome wasn't built in a day. And I think that you're recognizing that you don't have to push yourself so hard in order to be successful. I feel like your future self is in a place where they're recognizing that they are already successful, and that the success that they reaped has not come from stressing yourself out so much, pushing yourself so hard, but rather working in tune with the cycles of nature. And I feel like you are slowing down in an intentional way, or your future self is, that is allowing you to accept the fact that you don't have to push yourself, you don't have to run yourself ragged, and that in fact in doing that you are engaging in the opposite of prosperity. You are engaging in fear-based action that is based on lack and worry. I think that everything is coming together, but also you're building future plans, and you're definitely getting outside more and connecting with the energy of nature more and finding the healing qualities of it outside of yourself. So if one of your goals is to take more walks or to just get outside more, I definitely think that is something that is occurring more. You could even be getting a pet or another pet, or spending more time with animals. I just definitely see you slowing down and enjoying the value of the present moment, and just seeing much more clearly all the special things around you that maybe you weren't able to recognize before because you were stressing yourself out or running yourself ragged. I feel like there's a real, if you're experiencing burnout right now, I think that your future self is letting you know that this burnout will have a positive result, where you recognize that you can't bring yourself to that brink anymore, that you do need to let yourself slow down. You do need to be patient with yourself, be patient with outside forces that you can't control, and recognize that you are never disconnected from your own prosperity and from the prosperity the universe wants to bless upon you. I feel like your future self also is practicing acceptance, not only for yourself, for your process, but also acceptance for stuff that happened in the past that maybe you're not proud of, or that you wish you could have done different. Like, oh, I wish I could have been more productive these past XYZ months. Like, I wish I had, paid attention to my needs so that I didn't go through burnout. And I feel like your future self is recognizing that nothing is out of place, and you can't change the past, but even then you don't deserve to shame yourself or act like what you're doing is truly wrong. I feel like there's a gentleness that your future self is experiencing, where you're recognizing, oh, I can slow down. I can embrace the moment. Like, this is very much, your future self is in tune with the journey, not the destination, and recognizing the value of the journey and the value of not rushing things and letting life happen as it's meant to, and embracing what every present moment has for you. So this is really beautiful, and I think that you're gonna find that a lot of, if you've been believing that a lot of your joy will come from achievement, I think what you're realizing is that, especially based on what you've already achieved, and if you've realized like, oh, that's not bringing me joy, that your joy is found in the little moments every day, in the process, and in the consistent building of the life that you're creating, the life that is slower and more relaxing and just more gentle. This is a very cozy place to be, and a very nurturing place to be. And I definitely think that your future self is letting you know now that you don't have to be so hard on yourself, and you don't have to stress yourself out so much, and to pay attention how you rush yourself, how you don't let yourself enjoy things. Like, I'm getting the visual of someone walking a dog and not letting the dog just sniff around and explore its environment and being like, no, we gotta go, we gotta keep walking. You are both the owner holding the leash and the dog. And I feel like your natural self just needs time to appreciate sensory input and your environment and just all the small gifts that we take for granted. And I feel like your future self is recognizing those things, enjoying those things, and finding a lot of energy and healing from that, and recognizing the fact that it's not that you have to change who you are or push yourself harder. In fact, actually, it's that you need to relax a little bit more and let yourself go slower, and not push yourself to go beyond the pace that works for you, because you don't need to be going a mile a minute. All you need to be doing is going at the pace that works for you. So let's see what guidance your future self has for you. You're incredibly strong and capable. Don't be afraid to let others see that. Yeah, I definitely think that one thing that you need to see is that you are strong and capable. But also, I think that one thing your future self is realizing is that you have nothing to prove, and you don't need to you don't need others' approval to make you feel like you don't need others to see that you're constantly achieving or constantly having forward momentum, because number one, that's not healthy. But also, number two, I feel like part of where your future self is at this place of recognizing, like, you're not going to dim your shine anymore. You're not going to act like what you've already achieved isn't something wonderful that you shouldn't be proud of. I also feel like you're being encouraged to just show others that it's okay to slow down. It's okay to relax. It's okay to tune out sometimes and just focus on you and focus on what's best for you. I also think that your future self is wanting you to be a better advocate for yourself, and really encourage, I feel like your future self really wants to encourage you to embrace your greatness more, and recognize that others can see that too. And the more you share yourself with the world, the more you will realize, like, wow, the world responds to me a lot more positively than I thought it would. And more than anything, yeah, you are strong and capable, and you should be proud of that. Okay, so I want to start by looking at, why is your future self showing you this point in time? And hopefully I do not cut off the bottom of the cards, because piles 1 and 2 did deal with that, but hopefully we're fixing it. So thank you to everyone, by the way, that takes the time to leave me a little like or let the ads play. Those are all super helpful ways to show appreciation and support. So thank you to everybody who does that. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, I think I fixed it. Okay. Spirit, why is pile 4's future self showing pile 4 this place in time, this future moment? We have the Devil, which I think is very fitting, especially if, can you see that? Oh my gosh. Okay, yes, you can. All right, cool. Your future self is showing you this moment because you might feel really trapped, or you might feel like you are stuck in a cycle that you cannot escape, or that the future that you want for yourself, especially one where you're able to actually enjoy your life and enjoy what you've worked so hard to build already, is not out of your grasp. I feel like your future self is showing you this because you will break free. You will get out of these cycles and patterns that you felt so stuck in, or that you probably still feel very stuck in. And also, I feel like your future self is saying, just because you can't conceive of a life where you're not constantly running yourself ragged, or feeling like you have to be constantly productive, or have to be on top of things every moment of every day, otherwise you're failing, you're losing, you're gonna miss out. The devil energy here is in that idea, and what your future self is saying is that you can and will break free. And the sooner you do it, the freer you'll feel. And I think one thing you need to recognize is that a lot of what's keeping you stuck in this cycle is not you. It's beliefs that you're not good enough unless you are pushing yourself to the brink, unless you are, running yourself ragged. And I think that this devil card is coming out to remind you, and your future self is letting you know that these forces that feel bigger than you, these forces that feel like they will never change, that's just an illusion. And not only do you get out of these cycles, but you can get out of them sooner rather than later. And so, speaking of, let's go ahead and see how you can align with this future in this present moment, and get there as quickly as possible. Which I guess is kind of antithetical to patience, but getting here as quickly as possible is not the same thing as actually being in this energy. So I guess it works. So, and if what I say you're already doing, then know you're already aligned and getting to this future as quickly as possible. So, Spirit, how can Pile 4 align with this future self, with this future energy, and get there as quickly as possible? We have the Two of Wands. So I feel like for this, you're really being encouraged to be more strategic and methodical about your day. Like, you definitely have the ability to be very regimented, and I feel like you're being encouraged to use that for good, instead of like scheduling every element of your day, or feeling like every single thing has to be accounted for. Start putting into your schedule, into your routine, things like going on a walk, slowing down, mindful meditation, time for yoga. I feel like definitely part of what will help you get out of the cycles you're currently in is recognizing how you may be avoiding creating a future that's more in alignment with what I just described. And if what I just described, in the first part of the reading, is like what you've been desperately wanting, I feel like you're really being encouraged to stop looking at it as a figment of the future and start creating space for it to become part of your present. With the Two of Wands being here as well, I feel like you are going to you're going to be faced sometimes with decisions where you can either choose what you've been doing that is maybe driving you a little bit crazy, or doing something different and enduring the discomfort of that difference. You might find that after you get over the discomfort of it, that in fact there's a lot of freedom there, there's a lot of joy there. I definitely feel like the universe is really encouraging you to look at your future more optimistically, and recognize that where you are headed, you don't have to earn it. You just have to believe you're worthy enough to have it now, and to start taking concrete action to get there. And that can quite literally just be as simple as, I'm gonna create a nighttime routine that takes my phone away, and that allows me to just decompress and have time to myself. And maybe one thing that you could do that would be helpful is, instead of having a time-based routine, have a goal-based routine. So like, okay, in my day, I want to wake up, I want to do do my morning routine, and then I want to do some yoga, and just kind of go down like what you want to accomplish for the day. And instead of putting time frames there, just give yourself the freedom to, if you can, of course, not regiment things so strictly. Like, you know, for example, if you're going for a walk and you're really enjoying it and want to walk a couple extra, you know, kilometers. I'm so inclusive. Look at me using the metric system. Give yourself that freedom, give yourself that grace, and let yourself really enjoy the moment. Like, if that means that, you know, everything is off kilter, everything is pushed back a little bit, that's okay, because you might find that it's far more refreshing to just go on that walk, or, you know, take a little bit of extra time to enjoy it than go through it haphazardly and feel like you didn't get any of the benefits from going on the walk in the first place. So let's get some reassurance and guidance about any fears you might have in the present from your future self. So what, Pile 4's future self, what do you want Pile 4 to know about any fears they may be having, any worries? Okay, we have the Death card. Let me just make sure these are still in the frame. Okay. So I feel like your future self is wanting you to know that a lot of the things that you're afraid of resurfacing in the future, you are bringing an end to now. But I think that also there is this aspect of acceptance that your future self has when it comes to this death energy. I'm not talking about literal death. For some of you that could resonate, but even then, I don't think it's really something that is, it's just something that happens, right? It can be very hard. There's even, when death energy comes into our life, which I'm not talking about like physical death, obviously I can't predict something like that. I'm just talking about like the death of a lifestyle, the death of a way of thinking, the death of a way of living. You know, there can be a grieving process in that, and that can be really uncomfortable, and it can be hard to really let go of the ways that we've been doing things. I mean, we're habitual creatures, right? And I think that you are deep down kind of afraid of your life changing, because I do feel like there is a sense of control that you feel from the way your life currently is, even though it's unsustainable and leaving you very stressed out. And I feel like your future self is wanting you to know that this sort of ending that you're going through is actually going to be quite liberating. And you're not going to miss this old version of yourself, this old way of living your life, the way you think you will. I feel like you have this fear of loss around, you know, what if I do change my life, change how I'm doing things, and it leaves me worse off? What if I fall off the wagon, or what if I lose motivation? And I feel like what your future self wants you to realize is that this ending will actually help you in a sense where your idea of control is a lot more healthy. You know, the fact that we have the devil here as well, like, you know, the devil can be all about like obsession and control and trying to control everything, and you don't need to be in control like that. And in fact, it's when you let go of control that I think you'll find a lot of freedom. You know, we can't control nature, right? Nature is its own powerful force. And I think that this future version of yourself is getting in touch with that reality within you as well. There are uncontrollable forces within you that, you know, will call you to surrender, that will call you to change, that will call you to step back into the present moment and recognize all the gifts in front of you. And these things your mind might shudder at and might feel very fearful about, but your future self is letting you know that they won't be missed. And in fact, it will be a sweet release to step into these changes and recognize that a lot of what was keeping you stuck was not rooted in reality. It was just rooted in fear and rooted in the idea that what if you somehow weren't good enough, or what if you lost everything if you changed? And I feel like one thing that your future self is wanting you to look at is, what are you losing now by not being able to be present? What are you losing by, you know, not enjoying your day? Like maybe maybe time passes you by and you're like, how did this month pass? I don't remember any of it. Like, I feel like your future self is a lot more intentional about how they go about their day, how they embrace their day and embrace their life. And there's an inherent trust in the universe and trust in yourself that I think maybe you currently struggle with. And I feel like your future self is saying, you're not going to miss this. You're not going to miss being in this frenetic state that keeps you feeling like you are in a rat race or stuck in a loop of stress and frustration. So I feel like your future self is saying it's okay to let go, and it's okay to deal with any of the emotions that you might have to process as you release and as you change, but that it will be okay and it will be quite liberating when you get onto the other side. And if you're afraid of these things creeping back into your life, I feel like your future self is reminding you that you'll recognize it, and that you'll never, once you move out of this cycle, you will never be stuck in it the same way. Because number one, you'll be able to recognize it, and number two, you will have the physical evidence that you can move through. You can get out of these cycles, and you have the tools and the knowledge to be able to do it and recognize it a lot sooner. So these cycles getting more intense or coming back and rearing their ugly head, you shouldn't be afraid of, because you can handle it. You are incredibly strong and capable, and you can stop that cycle in its tracks as soon as you recognize it. So now I would just want to get some acknowledgement or encouragement from your future self about your present, just something your future self wants to commend you for or recognize about you. So Pile 4's future self, what do you want to acknowledge for Pile 4 in their present? We have the 9 of Swords. So I feel like they're really acknowledging just how stressful things have been and just how hard it has been for you to get out of your head and get out of these like anguished cycles. I do feel like they are encouraging you, if you can and you do have the resources, to seek help and support through this process, because like you can rely on yourself to do it all on your own, but you don't have to, and it might be easier to find to have some support outside of you. I feel like your future self is just acknowledging that your current present is incredibly stressful, and it is completely understandable why it would be so challenging for you to be present, why it would be so hard for you to slow down, and why that would seem scary or antithetical to your goals. But they're also encouraging you to recognize that these are not the truth. These are illusions. And in fact, one of the greatest gifts your future self wants you to know that you're going to be receiving is mental peace and the ability to have nothing in your mind in general. Like, that is a skill that you have to build, but reaching it is going to be something where you're like, wow, so I do have the strength to not force myself to think and worry in every moment of every day. Your future self is acknowledging that you might not be okay right now, and that's okay. But what's not okay is to shame yourself for it, to beat yourself up for it, or act like you're totally fine if you're not. I feel like your future self is encouraging you to seek help, or at the very least be honest with yourself about how things are not working, so that you can get closer to making these changes. You are a precious and special being, and a lot of the messaging that you may be internalizing or telling yourself, that you're not good enough, or that you have to prove your worth, or that you have to reach a certain point before you can slow down, none of that is true. And all of that is just contributing to this devil energy, where you continue to feel stuck for longer because you think that you're doing something wrong, or that you can't think your way out of this cycle. The best thing that you can do is slow down. You can't run from this energy, because it will just follow you. What you can do is sit in it and move through it. And that will be the quickest way to get into this future self energy. And I feel like your future self just wants you to know it's all going to be okay, and that you deserve to be gentle with yourself. So we're going to go ahead and finish off with some final guidance cards for you. So to start, we have happiness. I am aware that being happy means that I'm on the right path. So I definitely think if you're really unhappy and really stressed out, that is the perfect sign that there are things that need to change. But also know that you deserve a lifestyle and a way of living that does have small moments of joy and big moments of joy. And, you know, if you think that your happiness doesn't matter, I think that's really one thing that you may need to recognize. Like, what am I doing that gets in the way of that? And what am I doing that makes me feel guilty, like I shouldn't be allowed to have that? You know, are those beliefs? Is that something I need to work through in therapy? You know, is that external messaging that maybe I need to turn off? Pay attention to what depletes your joy, and pay attention to when you do feel moments of joy, because that is what's going to help you know when you're on the right path and when you're getting closer to this future self energy. We also have full moon in Capricorn take a reality check. So yeah, your future self is definitely asking you to be honest with yourself about what's not working, and also be honest with yourself about the fact that you're human and you can only handle so much, and you're not going to get out of this cycle by doing the same things you've always been doing. It's time to make changes, and it's time to look at things realistically. I think you might think that you're being realistic and looking at things logically, but your future self is definitely indicating with this Nine of Swords that you're not, and that fear is really clouding your judgment and clouding your best interests and keeping you stuck in a cycle that I know you desperately want to escape. And I feel like the reality is that you can, but that starts with you acknowledging that something's got to give and you can't keep tolerating this anymore. Haha, wealth, money is on its way to you. Think thoughts of abundance. So I feel like one thing your future self is wanting you to know is that, in fact, by slowing down, you can have more. And there is wealth. First of all, this is indicating like physical money, but also I think that in recognizing the wealth of what's around you and recognizing like the value of slowing down, it's going to help you work more intentionally. And I feel like you can be far more productive in less time when you give yourself time and space to relax and have a more balanced lifestyle. And finally, we have, I let the universe catch up with my dreams. So I definitely think as you make these changes, you know, we see, you know, your future self energetically in a place where you are in the right energy to start cultivating more dreams, to be protective of and keep nurturing the dreams that you've already brought into reality. And I see like this future self, you have this idea down pat where you're like, I'm gonna let the universe catch up with my dreams, where you're patient and letting things unfold in perfect time and not rushing things. And I feel like that is just going to allow you so much more inner peace, and also so many gifts that you would have missed out on originally if you were just trying to push yourself to the next goalpost and then the next and the next, never enjoying what you've already achieved and how far you've already come. So pile it forward. That's where I'm going to leave this reading. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background. That's one of the simplest and easiest ways to show support and appreciation for my channel. But if you would like to do that in other ways, you can like this video, you can comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to click that little notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. You can check out my merch, you can check out my social media, you can check out my candles. Be sure to use code ASO10 for 10% off. You can check out other videos, especially ones with extendeds. But that's all I have for you guys. So thank you so much for watching and for letting me read for you. I really hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video. And I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye!